Nine.
All right, good evening. We are going to get started. It's 5 o'clock. We do have a forum. We have Tara supposed to be joining online, and then only other member absent in Bruce. So with that being said, I think, okay. Everybody's accounted for. We have a forum, and everybody knows. Does everybody know everybody?
Now I'm ready.
Bruce and Becky.
It just took me a minute.
Hi there.
We've
All
met.
right.
Yes. Somebody else? Yeah. Okay, so no, also.
I'm really harmless.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, well.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Bruce over.
Who's over?
Yeah.
We could please start with the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You know.
The first item here is the election of officers. I will entertain nominations for chair, please.
I nominate Joe Clark.
Any other nominations for chair?
Nominate John Maybook.
Would you accept the chair?
No.
Do you accept the chair?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair?
Give it up.
Sally is nominating Becky. Becky, would you accept the chair?
I'd accept it, but I second that.
We're in the process of nominations. Would you accept the nomination for chair? Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair? Seeing none, I will close nominations. We will now vote. You have one vote to cast per one. It'll be for either Joe or Becky. All those in favor of Joe. Those opposed, those in favor of Becky. Okay. That is for Joe to Becky, and Mr. Clark, it is yours.
All right, do we have nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Becky.
Okay, I'll second.
The second, okay, for Becky, any other nominations? All those in favor for Becky for chair? All right, nominations for secretary. I'm sorry, Bruce. Bruce over. Bruce, would you accept that nomination?
Who's gonna take the minutes? Secondary?
Yeah.
No, I'll turn that down.
Any other nominations for secretary?
Committee doesn't have to elect a secretary. I can just take the minutes if that's fine, unless somebody else wants to.
I consensus. Whoops, sorry.
No.
No, I agree.
Yeah, okay. We need a
You're
motion
new,
for
you're
that.
new to me.
Okay, discussing actions on January 21st, 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Are we counting, is Tara, you're on?
I think she just came in. I need to verify that it's her. Nope, she declined to be promoted, so. If it is, she's not participating. I'll offer it once more. Okay. Tara, is that you? We cannot get confirmation that it is her.
Hello? Hello?
Tara,
Yes.
perfect, thank you. So we will now need to be doing roll call votes from here on. Oh, please.
All right,
Were you online for minutes, Tara?
I was not.
Okay, so we just accepted the minutes from January 21st.
Okay,
And we're good to move on.
All right, item 5 on our agenda, review of elected officials stipend.
I have a question. So these are all elected officials, is that correct?
Correct.
And are each of those people on these elected for 1 year?
No. The planning board, the sewer commission, the budget committee, and library trustees are all 3-year terms. The select board and tax assessor are 1 year.
And is there a job description for the tax assessor?
There's not.
So how do people qualify for being a tax assessor, and what is that position?
So the tax assessor is customarily tax assessor is grouped with the select board. Here in Norridgewock, it's gone back and forth. What their job is the charge of overseeing the valuations and assessments of personal property and real estate within the town. So here, the 3 elected tax assessors appoint your assessing agent, who's the certified main assessor. She then technically provides recommendations as to the valuations, and then they accept. And then they also process abatements and supplementals, so tax add-ons and tax reductions. And the 3 tax assessors formally accept or deny the recommendations.
So do the tax assessors authorize what the assessor does? Is they a double, what's the purpose of a tax assessor?
So legally,
Committee.
they employ the assessing agent who does that groundwork on their behalf.
I like the town manager. Does the groundwork for the selectmen?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think that's a good parallel, but not mirrored. Yep.
So just a little, if you can just give us a little background, was the intent to, or the thought process to look at stipends for all these committees? Or is there, or just tweak the ones that already are getting funded? What?
Yeah, so the select board, this has come up a few times at their table, and they just pushed it for a few years now. And so they felt uncomfortable as one of those people, one of those groups receiving stipends to handle it. So it's been on your plate for about 6 months now. And here we are. So there's 3 there, but when we talk about elected official stipends, I thought it was important that we look at all elected officials. So that's why you have those there for comparables or whatnot.
Okay.
I don't think there was a discussion amongst the select board of expanding or contracting. I think largely it was more about equity and appropriate compensation, or more proportionate compensation for the responsibilities and duties.
So like sewer commission, do we know how many times they meet a year? Out of curiosity.
They're probably at 4.
Okay.
Unless it's a one-off. Right now, they have a standing quarterly meeting to review finances.
And then library, same thing?
Library is, I'll pay 12 times a year, because they usually miss a month at the holiday, but they add in a budget meeting.
Okay.
They're also a large volunteer group.
I mean, it's another thought about, everybody can jump and ask questions, I don't think that, but it's another thought that this may encourage people to seek elected office rather than, I mean, we're not ever gonna talk enough money that maybe makes you wanna get off the couch.
That's a school of thought. You know, it's okay, well, I'm on the planning board and it's mundane and it's mundane generously. And so, you know, you get to the end of the year and the holidays are coming, and then you get a little lump of compensation, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I really feel valued now. You know, with a grain of salt, the nice thank you, I think, for people.
Okay.
I don't think you're ever gonna adequately compensate for the time that people put into what they do.
And it's obvious that the assessor's amount per meeting is 3 times the other 2 boards. And I can't tell you what a realistic expectation for how much per meeting is reasonable. Is 0 reasonable?
Sally's been on the board.
What's that?
Sally has been a member of assessors. Maybe you could tell us.
Yeah, so the select board, this has come up a few times at their table, and they just pushed it and pushed it for a few years now.
I think. $500 a year. Isn't, I'm not sure that. Assessors or planning board should be more than compensated. But, I'm sure everybody that's on these boards want to be, so. If everybody want to do, the assessors was really straightforward and did simple, which just seems to be things. And Donna, the assessor, did all the work. That's all.
I was on the planning board when they first came up with stipends, and I was acting chair, and it was a lot of waste management. In fact, it was a lot of work. They didn't want to get it. I mean, you run for an elected office for a voluntary, and I think everybody, and this is just a personal opinion, everybody in the world wants to be compensated for everything. It didn't. I ran for it, took out the papers, and did it, went to the trouble of running for it. I think there are people that get in, they have 2 roads or whatever, and they're suddenly in there. I think in the meetings that I've been in, not everybody prepares for, not saying the planning board, but you're a TID. I mean, how many people go out and look at every site or do all the homework? How many people come in and just read the pack of materials when they're in there? I think it's nice to think there's still the goodness of a small town where people volunteer. And yes, as Jim Lyman said, he didn't really care, the assessors, whether you got the money or not, but he said, it's nice at the end of the year, you take your wife to dinner. So it was kind of what Richard said, it's just a nice little perk, but it didn't make him want to be an assessor or to do something. It didn't, if I'd gotten on the planning board, I think I would have found some place to donate it to, because I wanted to do it as a volunteer thing. I think the library board people, I mean, I'm not on it anymore, I can't really speak for them, but they love what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, that I am kind of surprised because I do this because I want to do it, because it's my community, because I don't expect reimbursement, I don't expect accolades. This is being part of the community and taking responsibility for what goes on in the community.
Yes.
So I really.
So am I hearing the group is basically okay with where the stipends are now and don't recommend any additional stipend?
I would recommend that we reduce the total budget for the assessors and either bring it maybe by $500 or something reasonable to divide it by 3, and then put it into the select board, who spends an enormous amount of time doing business for the town. So I would say we take $600 away from the assessors, make it a $900 budget, and add the $600 to the select board budget. That's just, I mean, this is we're only reviewing, so that's my thought.
I mean, are they looking for a motion out of this after we review it? Are they looking us to take action or just talking?
No, I think that they are looking for you to make a recommendation that they can put forward at town meeting for voters.
Like I said, committee submit a recommendation for this year.
Yeah, but I'm pretty, whatever you folks come up with will be put forward. I think they'll have current and then they'll have your recommendation.
So I don't think, does it have to be a motion then?
By the time we're done.
Okay, well then that's my motion, that we reduce the assessors total budget by $600. And add the $600 to the select board budget. So we're not changing the total of these stipends, the 10,600. We're just switching the money around to make it more equitable.
So it's not a motion, so we're discussing.
You just made a motion.
Do I have a second? Any second to John's motion?
Yeah.
Motion fails.
So what's the status now?
Status now is we're at where we're at.
I don't think the select board has not had a raise in a very long time. And I think. I think it's a lot, that they meet twice a month. And I could see giving them a raise. I just agree with John. I don't think it's necessary to take away from the tax assessors. I don't think anybody's talking about $10,600 so much as. Are these stipend amounts, right? At least I didn't look at it that way. Should we reduce it? So we want to keep it at still 10.6, which is redistributed.
This may be the only place I will say we should increase the budget. My thought was we'd bring the selectmen up to 10,000, would bring the assessors to 2,000, and would bring the planning board to 3,000. So that would increase that line item. $5 grand. $4 grand. And I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, the selectmen probably have been at that for 20 years. Might have been there since my dad was.
Then one.
Well, you were on there.
Yeah,
Is that what it was when you were on there?
I don't know, I donated mine back with them. I didn't take any to it. So far as I'm concerned, you're on a board, you volunteer for the town, you don't need to pay. I was on the fire department for 20 some odd years, and I don't think I got enough to pay for my clothes.
And that's what I've heard them say here, 10 years that I've been doing this. They haven't gone after a raise.
Well, I don't think they really.
There's kind of a little bit of pride going on there too,
Yeah,
among them, I
I mean,
think.
usually you go onto a board, like in a small town like this, because you wanna participate. Not because of pay,
It's just like.
so it doesn't really mean much as far as the pay.
So how did the tax assessor get to be 1,500 or 500 per person? And how did the planning board get to be 500 per person when they only meet? As
The tax assessor's been in place at least since 1993.
holy moly's.
And the select board stipend predates that.
Right, I understand
The
they
planning
get a
board-
stipend, but for that dollar amount,
That has been a flat dollar amount per member
yeah,
since that time.
wow, they were generous back then.
And then, well, so the other thing with the tax assessors is that you had tax assessors at that time that were actually out in the field.
Oh,
They were out there doing,
the
and
work,
so then they were extraordinarily underpaid. Practically.
Yeah.
They were out there figuring the measurements, taking the measurements and.
Makes sense.
For that thing.
history is good to have.
And then the planning board was, I think at the time that number was set, Becky alluded to it, there was a lot of. Complex applications that were coming through, ordinance revisions and things like that, and so when the idea came to. Incentivize participation in an important board that was. Understaffed, if you will, that was the number that they settled on, and that was submitted to town meeting, and town meeting accepted that amount. That's been 6-7 years ago, probably. I don't have that specific.
Okay.
So you can't make a motion, is that correct?
You can if you would like to.
Oh, you can, okay.
So I'll make a motion that we increase the select board to 10,000, the tax assessor stipends to 2,000, the planning board to 3,000 for a total of $15,000. Do I hear a second? Having none, motion fails. So
I make a motion to. Raise the select board. Keep the others as they are.
You can do whatever you want.
What?
You can do whatever you like.
What did you say?
Once the race is select board, and maybe there's the same thing.
I don't see giving the tax assessor, you just talked about how much it is. Or the planning board. Raising them or questioning. Is it really beneficial? Are we getting that much out of having them do it? Because people want to be on those committees.
do you have a number for the select board?
Well, I think of it in terms of per meeting. I mean, they're getting an average, or you could do it. Did you do the math? What does 10,000 get them per meeting?
I think for,
Yeah.
keep the select board the same and whatever the other two.
Roughly $200 a meeting. They meet once a week. Well, they
$86.
want them out.
23 a
Your
year.
budget's 10,000, it'll be about $86 a meeting.
Yeah, 86. So do you wanna make a motion to raise them and keep to 10,000 and keep the
And that comes out to $86 a meeting.
In change.
It's fair after all this time, and it's twice a month, yeah. Make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second? There's a second.
So what's the motion?
The motion is to increase the select board to $10,000 a year budget, and the other stipends remain status.
Okay. Nice. Okay,
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Yeah.
Tara's still on, so we need to go around the room and
Yep.
do yes or no per person.
Okay,
Um,
Terry, you're a yes?
I am a yes.
John,
yes,
Mrs. Wilder?
No,
No.
Yes,
Becky's yes, I'm a yes.
Yes.
It's a yes.
No.
Bruce is no. Motion carries.
should have voted on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you?
well, you put all those max on there. You did phone.
Equal of red, like red. All right, so what's this process look like now? You talk to us?
I will start talking to you, and then you can navigate through however you'd like. Fire department is obviously here. He has a commitment, but we don't want to rush because he'll be at all your budget meetings. But if you would like to, you can hear from him tonight, or not. He's prepared. Other than that, customarily, I'll give you a quick overview, and then you can go department by department. If you have questions on departments, feel free to ask. If I don't have answers and you want to wait, we can do that. And if you're comfortable, especially on those smaller budgets, if you want to vote on those as you move along, then you're welcome to. Whatever the comfort is of the committee is really where you're at. I would fully expect we'll have a second meeting, in order to move through all of this stuff, but it'll be
I
no
would
pleasure.
recommend we do the fire department first.
Okay, let him give it, we'll let Richard give his overview first, and we can jump to the fire department. We're good with that.
So your total budget on your budget summary, you'll see on the front page, my number will vary slightly from yours. But all in all, they're pretty on, I'll say trend. So what we had was when I populated your spreadsheet, it was used the end of November, the 1st of December. So some of your 2025 actuals need another 4 to 6 or 7 weeks worth of expenses to catch up. So you'll see that especially in payroll, in utilities, where those don't cycle in necessarily. So if you have questions about gaps in the actuals, please let me know. The spreadsheet up here, which is a little bit more difficult to see, has that those figures as of today. We'll be posting more expenses tomorrow. Back to 2025. So these aren't your final, but when you're all said and done, the budget that I'm recommending over last year, from a spend perspective, is up about $70,000. That is largely utility and labor related. And when I talk labor, I'm talking wages, taxes, benefits. That's the big driver of your budget again this year. We were able to offset that with my recommendation with revenues. A little bit here and there, we'll go through those as we go through department. And at the end of the day, once we factor in forecasted expenses and forecasted revenues under this current budget, with my proposal as it is, we'll be down about $18,000 on your town tax. What we would send out for tax. Mind you, that's only a fraction of your tax bill, so you've still got the county, you've still got the school that is outside the scope, but this would drive a negative budget from the town perspective. We've got a few new proposals. We've got last year we had that economic and community development position that was intended to tie in several different things. The goal really with Parks and Rec, we'll talk about that. There's a new proposal and structure for that. And the select board has been looking at the sewer department and its large inability to break even, and recognizing its importance to our town economically. And so they've also asked to allocate money to the sewer department in the form of a reserve. 35,000, so that's new spending that you'll have in the budget here, this year. All of that taken into consideration, the net budget is still down. And so I think that puts us in a pretty good place. What you don't have, in your select board column, obviously, is elected officials, where they haven't touched that, they were waiting for your conversation today. Parks and Rec were also passed over, because at their last meeting, they had not, Parks and Rec had not met to submit their request. The select board very comfortable acting without you, as you should be them. They have, over the last couple of few years, really been passionate about making independent recommendations and not wanting to just be check from committee to committee to committee. So that is our overview. And
One question I had, is the health insurance figured in with those real numbers or are those expected increases?
so health insurance is up 9%.
Okay.
That's what we're forecasted for this year. The fluctuation that you'll see in health insurance figures is that we do offer a buyout. The town negotiated in a buyout for employees. If you do not take our insurance, we'll pay 50%. It's an incentive to keep our employees on postal insurances as opposed to on the full bill for us.
Yep.
It's been very effective, and it's also kind of back to where the veterans incentive, where they have access to the VA. It might not always be the easiest, but we're giving some cash and we've got a pretty good participation rate.
Yeah, good. Any other questions for Richard before we jump into the fire department?
All right. I have a real quick question. Where's the sewer department?
33 Willow Street. Sorry.
Where is on our, I don't see it on our list,
It is a separate fund.
like the water department.
No, the water department is wholly independent.
Okay,
The sewer department is overseen by the commissioners. Their budget is set by the commissioners. Our rates are set by the commissioners, it's like the airport.
okay. Oh, okay. So there must be some place in here where we give the sewer commission money,
That it's gonna be in your capital reserve.
capital reserve.
Yeah.
All right, let's take up Article 9, fire department. It's pleasure to go line by line, or do we want to just skip down as we go? You think, shall I go? We'll go one by one, please. Full-time fire overtime. Fire administration. And actually Todd's here, so shout out questions to Todd. Really loud because it's like that. Weekend officer.
One thing that just, since you knew, one thing that we've done in the past that seems to work is that people have studied the materials. When you come to, just to give you history, we ask if anybody has any questions or anything about the fire department.
Oh, okay.
And then they said, so you don't have to go line by line and look at it. Maybe that's not the right way to do it.
No, I think that's a better way. I wasn't sure how.
Needs a little bit.
How it's done.
It's not,
Okay,
it isn't work necessarily.
thank you. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Payne?
I have a question, and it's not necessarily about fighting fires and all that, but I noticed that you pay for your own software support and internet versus having. Is that, I'm not sure why that's separate and it's not under the town.
There's more than one component in there. So some of that is under the town in the computer support contract that the town has. And because we have 3 computers over there, we pay a percentage. So some of it is that,
So it's.
and some of it is the software specifically that we have specifically for fire. So there's multiple elements that add up to that. I don't know, was it $2,100 comes off the top of my head, but
Yeah, 21.
Yep.
And
so it's not just a single element. Some of it is the same software. They have all the computers
Right.
here.
the other is it's a specialized software that needs its own contract, blah, blah.
Perfect.
But
And then revenue, we just get that from Mercer. Is that the only place we get money?
Yes. So we have a contract with Mercer that's good through the end of 26. So we've got 1 year left on that 3-year contract. And by contract, it's 17% of our operating budget is paid for by the town of Mercer. That will be probably sometime middle of the year that we'll start talking with Mercer about, renewing contract.
Mr. Pinion, what's part-time administration mean?
That's me and my deputy chief. Okay, so I have the benefit of some notes over here to the side, okay, so you have myself and my deputy chief, Daryl Wyman. And Daryl is a full-time professional firefighter, town of Skowhegan, he's captain, actually, shift leader in Skowhegan, but of course he lives here in Norridgewock, and the benefit of having him, he's available, not on shift in Skowhegan, 6 days out of 8. So any of those full-time, because they work 24-hour shifts and they work 2 days out of 8. So he has 6 days that he's off. So we have the ability to bring him in about 20 hours a week to do all of the primarily firefighter health and safety stuff, all of the OSHA and Bureau of Labor, Department of Labor standards. He was very instrumental in obtaining the SHAPE Award this year for the department, the State of Maine SHAPE Award. And he also does a number of things like, chasing down money for grants and grant administration when it comes to things like Maine Forestry Grant, things like that. So he gets the lion's share of that. So,
Okay, thank you.
So this question I have is more to the reserves. But you've got money in for the fire equipment and money in for fire building. Is there actually a plan, or are we just socking money away in a rainy day fund?
it dawns on me that every March after town meeting, I come to the selectmen and I present them with my 10-year plan. You guys don't get any of that. Food for thought for another year, I suppose. But you don't get presented the 10-year plan. So there is a 10-year plan, and it involves replacement of all major equipment. An example would be we're getting a brand new fire truck next week. Was purchased 2+ years ago, but it's been in the capital plan for 10 or more years.
Okay.
And the next fire truck in about 5 or 6 years from now is due to be replaced. It will be 25 years old. So, and anything major, jaws of life, or some major piece of equipment, it's all in there and planned out. So when you ask about equipment capital reserve, and I increased that from 110,000 last year to 125 this year, and you might say, why?
I did.
You just sock it away for a rainy day. You might ask that. So when you start plotting that 10-year capital plan, it's all prioritized and estimated year of purchase.
Okay.
And then you start figuring in where you can get grants. There's some items that are very specifically great firefighter health and safety kind of grants, right? So you can get a grant for this, or you can get a grant for that. And you start plotting that, and how much money do I need to have? And what's that fire truck replacement going to cost 5 years from now or 6 years from now? And so some of it's a little bit of estimating,
Sure.
right? And divide it out, and I can show you the math, and it comes right out to 125,000. So okay, I think we need to put that in there.
Okay.
And it's all about meeting that capital plan and keeping that. And it would be a good thing for another year to include that in the budget committee. And the building, you asked about the fire building.
I thought it was new like 5 years ago.
Yeah, right. So guess when we moved in? January 3rd, 2016. 10 years and 3 days old. Okay, so it's a 10-year-old building. We have a pretty steady track record of putting 20,000 away per year per town major building. We had been shorting the fire station for the first 10 years at 10 because it was new. Unfortunately, even with the new building, sometimes you have I've already replaced a boiler. A premature failure. We've replaced the trim on the fire station due to some product failure and unexpected rot. And of course, it's going to need a roof at some point, and on and on. So we bumped that to the customary 20 that the other town buildings have. It's 10 years old. I know it doesn't feel 10 years old, but it's 10 years old. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Joe, Tara has a question or comment.
Sarah, question?
Yes, I was wondering about the health insurance. Richard had said that health insurance was going to be up about 9%.
Yes.
And this seems like it's over budgeted at that 9%. Is there more people getting health insurance behind the scenes, or I'm just not sure?
Well, so I can, the budget number that's in there is correct for the three employees that are eligible for health insurance. Times the number that it's gonna cost that Richard has given me, and that's 9% over this year. Where you might be seeing a difference is, I'm one of the ones eligible for health insurance, but I don't take it. So if you look at 2025 actual, that number is below budget. Why is that? And I'm not sure you have all that detail there. If not, and you do. Why is that below budget? I am the only one that chooses not to take it. So it's a 50% savings, if you will, for the one position. Maybe that answers your question, Tara?
So we have to assume, what I hear you saying is we have to assume that all the people who are qualified for health insurance are covered.
You have to budget for that.
Right.
Two reasons. One is if I can get hit by a bus tomorrow and the next person says, I want the health insurance.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's.
So that's one, and also my life situation can and will change at some point, and I might come in and say, Richard, when can I get on the plan? And so we have to be prepared for that.
So it's a 9% over the 47,340.
The glasses, 9% this year over last year's budget number, don't
Right.
look at last year's actual, because there was a known savings there because I didn't take the insurance.
Right. That would be the actual, yeah.
Another question, Tara?
Yes, what I was calculating was the 47,340 and the budgeted times 9%. There's still about $1,500 difference. Just was wondering why that was.
47,340 would being last year's budget. Yep. I apologize if that does not work out exactly to 9%. That's an average number that Richard's sharing. I don't know. The reason that it's 53,172, I can tell you specifically, I came to that by multiplying 1,477 per month per employee times 3. So that maybe some rounding or average numbers in the 9.
There's a 3% share for some employees.
Okay. So that, hopefully that explains. I took 1,477 per month per employee times 3. And that should work out to the 53,172.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Could you tell us about the weekend officer?
I can. Thank you for asking, actually.
You do a presentation like that.
So can I talk about call force firefighter and weekend
Yeah.
officer together?
No. Of course you can.
So the call force firefighter, that's your typical call force fireman, firewoman at home. Beeper goes off and they come running to the station and go, right? So that's the call force firefighter. That's nothing to do with the full-time employees we have, nothing to do with myself, nothing to do with the deputy chief. It's the paid call people.
They're the volunteers who go to.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate using the term because we pay them. But they are still volunteer to show up, right? And we really want them to show up. So
It's a set fee for each time they show up.
I'm sorry?
Do they get a set amount each time they show up?
Set amount. They get a minimum of 1 hour at currently $17 an hour. And I'm fixing that, which is why I wanted to talk about those together. So I'm actually decreasing the call force firefighter in a couple of ways and increasing it in one way. So I want to increase the $17 to $19 an hour. Is still not enough. But it's time to go up. My bad, I've let that slip too many years in a row. You know, it needs to go up. So $19. We're gonna get rid of, we were paying an overtime premium. If you come in for a call in the middle of the night, if the tones were at 2 AM, we were paying a time and a half rate for that. When we started it, we said we'll eliminate it if it doesn't work, and it didn't work. It didn't increase participation at all. It's not the money that gets people out of bed at 2 AM. So we're getting rid of that. And we're using a lot of that money to increase the 17 to 19, right? So, and we're getting rid of officer stipends. Okay, so customarily, my lieutenants, captains, whatever, would get an extra $1,000 or something at the end of the year. We're turning that into weekend officer. So Becky, this is a long way to answer your question. We're turning that into a weekend officer. So we're gonna have a weekend call rotation. And that is a person, a qualified, I'm gonna say officer, although there could be somebody qualified who's not an officer, but we'll start out with officers that will make sure that somebody answers the call and that the call is getting handled Friday, 4:30 PM to Monday morning, 7:30 AM. So somebody is on call for that weekend. For the whole weekend, make sure that the call is getting handled. That might be take care of it themselves. That may mean making sure that others are taking care of it. If nobody's around, it might be calling for mutual aid, whatever. Whatever it takes to handle that call, that officer, weekend officer would handle it. Because the system we have now is broken. The system we have now is Todd's around. And that only goes so far, because I like to leave town every once in a while. And it's great that I have people that I can call and say, hey, can you cover for this? Can you cover? I'm gonna be gone tonight. I want to go to Bangor. You have to, and Dave Jones said here and complained about it for years. You know, I have to have permission every time he wanted to leave town, because he didn't feel it was right for a call to potentially go unanswered. So we just want to put somebody on a rotation, just a list. Every paper mill in the state, Joe and I have been on the same list for a long time, right? So we get it. It's exactly the same. I modeled it, the program after that. So you know what.
So
We're gonna pay the weekend for that. We're
so
gonna
the
pay
guy's gonna get the person's gonna get a flat fee for the week.
$200 for the week.
That's cheap.
Cheap money. And so basically, if you look at those two line items together, call force firefighter and weekend officer, the intent was to get them as close to net zero as we could.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's gonna cost $800 more, I think, the way to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk about those two together, fundamentally changing the amount we pay employees, how we pay them in terms of the overtime thing, getting rid of the stipends, adding the weekend officer. So it's 4 changes wrapped all into those two numbers.
What's the stipend before? What officers were they getting 1,000?
4 officers total, getting 6,000. It varied, but
So
It was in the call force.
it was in the call force number. So that's why you see the call force number reduced by quite a bit. Recruits reduced by over 6,000, but then the weekend officers, a brand new line, increased by almost 7,000. But it's a better way to pay the people, and we're affording a $2 an hour pay raise. I'm going to be back at this committee next year. I think you're all still going to be on the committee, looking to go from 19 to something higher, frankly. 2021.
Full-time firefighters is
Yes. I'm sorry, Monday through Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, accepting vacations and holidays.
It's 2.
Just two. Yeah.
And what do they get now?
Low 20s. It's, I don't want to get any more specific than that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry?
It's abysmal.
It's not the highest paid job in the world, right? It's not. There are still some advantages. If you're looking for a local job, if you're looking to be a firefighter, but not necessarily an EMT or a paramedic, this is a place to do it. Because Reddington is so close. So there's some pluses and there's some minuses to it. The pay is not one of the pluses. It's really not. If you look at the budget overall, it's 85 in a fraction, 85% labor. If you take the labor, you take the benefits, you take the taxes, insurance, all that stuff. The top 9 lines or so, whatever it is, that's 85% of our budget. The rest of the budget is approximately flat. So I'm asking for a 2.9% increase overall with a 9% increase in health insurance. And that everybody's gonna want to make a little bit more, right, in 2026. So we do need employee wages to increase some. And so try to be as respectful as we could. We grew the department a lot in the last few years and trying to not overstep. 2.9 is what I'm asking for. And a lot of time and effort went into this, and please ask me anything, because
One quick question about the electricity. It went up $2,000. Administrative electricity did not go up very much, and neither did the library and their other departments, public works. Why did your electricity go up 2,000? It's more, they didn't do administration first. Is there such a difference for them and other departments and not administrative?
Public Works has an increase. Their budget was also in a better position last year than what I think fire might have forecasted versus actual. The nature of the beast. We don't have dryers over here. They have dryers. We all have heat pumps, but I don't have the space to heat or cool the supplement that they have over there. There's hose dryers, there's gear dryers and things like that, and those are big subs.
Air compressors, we got 2-3 phase air compressors.
Full size refrigerator, that all kind of compounds. And
so Becky, to answer your question, the budget is up 2,000. The budget was bad. If you look at the actual, it was 4,700.
There's nothing to do with what you're asking.
The actual was 4,700, and frankly, my ability to outguess CMP has not been good. Okay? I can be more frank than that, but I'm not sure how.
Tara, did you have a question? I'm sorry, I've got to get used to the hand raise.
Yes, I was just wondering if you could go over the calls that you receive in a year and versus fire versus accident, whatever, however you classify that, how many come through in a year?
Sure. So I'll do that. Now, when I do this, promise me that you don't compare me to another town that runs every medical call. So please understand, we do not run every medical call. We have Reddington EMS to do that. They're the primary medical caregiver. Medical provider is the correct term. So where do we stand in calls? Last year, we finished at 334 calls. Okay, so that's up significantly from the previous year, which was 248 calls. So, we were up 80, 90 calls, whatever that is. However, last year was down a little bit. The previous year, 306. So we're at 334, our all-time high. And so that begs the question of what's driving that, right? What is making that call number go up? So some of it, frankly, is EMS assist. Because I just told you we're not the primary medical provider. But if you've read anything in the paper, you know that ambulances are spread thin. They don't have as many as they'd like to have. They're tied up doing transfers. We do go help them more than we used to. But that's not the whole story. That's up a little bit. Motor vehicle accidents are up 22 over last year. Yeah, I know. A big one is fire and smoke alarms, double from last year. Half of them are at your place. Yeah, I'm one of you.
Fairmont out there. Not everybody goes in the room.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And another big one. Another big one, and I don't want to pull a wall. Another big one is mutual aid. Okay, So we're providing more mutual aid calls, going out of town to other towns, just like they're coming here more, we're going there more. And that's just the nature of the beast. Everybody's roster is smaller. It just is. And we went to Sappy 10 times last year, 10 times. So
how many firemen do you have? Firefighter.
you actually can get away with firemen at the moment, although we've had some females who don't currently, so you can say firemen today. Don't, maybe not next year, but today you can say it. So we have 18 or 19 on the roster, 19 I believe is the number. You know, Bruce will tell you, half of them are dependable. And half of those show up every call. So, you've got your core 4, 5, 6 that are there every time. Then you've got 10 or a dozen that'll come if there's anything of significance.
Yeah.
But the full roster is 19.
Thank you.
If the day will come when they'll all show up at once, I suppose, but it hasn't happened yet.
I have a chart that you sent me today,
Yes.
and I will have some of those, I'm gonna send the numbers out to you guys by email and I'll put it.
I thought I might get that question, so we have a nice public look.
But I'll send you the chart that will appear in the town report.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So EMS assist, motor vehicle accidents. Lines, power lines and trees down the roadway, things like that, that's actually down. We haven't really had a major storm since December of 2023. So those are actually down. And structure fires are down.
Tara, do you have another question?
I do, and that was the department equipment. Why did that go down $2,000?
We'll switch my glasses.
It was 5 and now it's 3.
Just taking a look at what my anticipated total was going to be for this year, this past year. Okay, so the way that I do this for things like department equipment is I look at, okay, what is the, similar to what Richard described earlier, what is the number at the end of November, and then what am I expecting to spend in December, what commitments have I made, etc. And I look at it and I was anticipating ending the year at about $3,000 this year. I'm not sure where that's tracked so far. I can go see Peter, but so I said, okay, well, this past year has been a fairly typical year for us, equipment wise, no big things broke. We didn't also didn't wait on getting something repaired. It was a fairly typical year. So I'll just carry the same 3,000 that I expected to spend in 25. That makes sense?
One last question, one more question. So I know in the last year you talked about grants.
Yeah.
Now, where does that show up here? So if you receive a grant,
Generally doesn't, except that you'll see some of the expense side in here.
that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So if you.
I hear you. So it somewhat depends, John. So you could get a grant that is very specific to a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
An example might be the side by side that we got.
Yeah.
So largely that was money that was given by Emory, right? Emory. But then there was a grant that came from Somerset County for 15,000 that went towards that. So it just kind of come in and went out immediately like that.
So you don't account for it in your.
Not in your annual budget stuff. It would be accounted for in the capital purchase side of the equation, on the capital equipment side of it that we were talking about earlier. One thing that is transacted through here is and it's a small dollar grant, is the annual Maine forestry grant. So with some of the items in here that will end up getting purchased for fighting forest fires, 50% of that will be reimbursed by the state of Maine, and it comes in here.
So
More often than not, I would say it's very specific.
Yeah.
We get a $40,000 grant from Stephen and Tabitha King to buy new jaws,
Yeah.
and it went straight to that purchase. It doesn't really have anything to do with it.
Appreciate what you're saying. It's amazing that it's not accounted for though.
It is, but it's not in your operating budget.
Okay,
If I give you a fully expanded sheet for his department, it could be 30 pages or more. And what you would see was $10,000 for the case of highlighters and then the $10,000 for the grant.
okay,
And then it offsets.
okay,
When it
It's
comes,
not in the annual operating.
yeah, okay, thank you.
when it comes to.
Reason for that is you want that annual operating budget to be something that you can depend on and compare, like you guys are doing
Yeah.
from year to year.
Yeah.
And if you have those big bubbles of grants coming in, going out, that wouldn't be fair to.
Right. I agree, it's something I've heard a lot is, where is the grant money? It's not just in the fire department. There's no, how much money is, what's the total amount of revenue that comes through?
We'd have to pull that, but largely it comes and goes from reserve accounts. I think the forestry is one of the unique ones where it actually goes from, it offsets your operating. Your roads, like the Wilder Hill project, we did that. That the money comes out of the road reserve and then the grant comes back into the road reserve. So, you know, it's the audit catches it. So if you view the whole audit report, you'll see that, but it's not a part of our day-to-day operational budget.
That's true of all of our large capital projects for the most part, really. Probably buying a fire truck being an exception, although we did get a grant for one of those once.
Okay. Any other questions for Todd? No, he's here. What's your pleasure with the fire department budget? Motion?
Second.
Motion to accept, second. All those in favor?
Gonna go around the table.
Oh, yeah. Tara? Yes. or no?
Yes.
Oh. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yes,
John Miller, yes.
okay.
Will someone second it? Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
right.
Good job, Todd. Thank you for what you do. On Bridge Street.
You have members from the Parks Committee here. I don't know if they want to say anything, but if you had any questions that I couldn't answer, or maybe some perspective that they could offer.
Let's, if everybody has no objections, we'll jump to the Parks Department.
Mr. Chairman, when you just approved fire, did you also approve the capital? I'm not sure what you're looking at. So the capital reserve.
Not approve the capital.
Okay, all right. So I will continue to come back, provided I don't have, tonight I have a 6:30 fire commitment. But I'll continue to come back to your next meeting and. Because I would like to be here when you discuss fire capital equipment. If you would send that to me, that would be terrific.
Thank you. So are we just for parks or parks and recreation?
This is just Park.
Just parks, all right, so that's Article 14.
So I'll give you a high level on your parks and then probably if you have questions, the ladies will help answer them. So you've got Abby Claire and Sherry Lewis. They are two of the 4 members on the committee. What they presented to you as a committee is a budget that's up almost $9,000 over last year. The vast majority of that increase is related to a program director. So that is a staff person, $7,000 stipend that would help coordinate and execute their events. They do, let's go from the top of the year. We do the music series. That's a 9 or 10 week series at Usula Park with live music. You've got Usula Days, you've got the Fall Festival, you've got the Holiday Stroll, and they want to do more. Last year, you'll remember there was that community development position that was proposed and it was voted down. And so Parks Committee, Rec Committee, Select Board went back to the drawing board and said, how can we look at this, try to compensate fairly, and get these volunteers some assistance. So that is what that position would be, is the support and admin side of things to help them make their programs bigger and better. And then you'll see there is kind of that domino effect to a lesser extent where you get payroll, taxes, unemployment and whatnot there. You roll down through their budget and things are up and down your internet. They provide free Wi-Fi with signage is coming this next year at Usula Park and Ashley Wing Park. That was not the initiative to provide free Wi-Fi. It is to provide asset protection, surveillance in those areas, given the remote ness of those properties. Electricity, that's up 50% over previous year budget. That's lighting, security, internet, things like that, helping to drive that number combined with rates. Downtown flags is a drastic reduction because of Route 2 construction this year. It will not be downtown flags. There'll be flags at the monuments or whatnot, so that was pulled back. Facility maintenance and repair, that's a significant bump up. $3,600 of that this last year was to install and remove the swim docks in Usula Park. Moving on down, the equipment rental, this was a big point of discussion last year, portable toilets. And the committee budgeted last year for the full expense of portable toilets at all the Usula Park and National Wind Park. What has changed is there's a state grant through ATV and snowmobile that will pay for those portable toilets at National Wind Park. So the Parks Committee pays out in their budget, but it comes back in and offsets their operating budget. So that on average is $400 a month in portable toilets that were at Ashland Park that they're no longer paying for. And so that's what is able to reduce that.
A forever change?
That's the goal. As long as the state of Maine is supporting the trail through this grant, then we can build back those portable toilets. And it's just a matter of what month they're paying and which grant it goes under, whether it's snowmobile or ATV. The holiday stroll, that was 2,000 budget, and the request is increased to 5. They do have a plan to expand programming, but one of the big things that we talked about was small businesses and organizations are getting hit constantly. And we go from September Usula Days to October, and the fall festival. We know that they're all doing things through the holidays or whatnot, and how much can you continue to lean on them? And I think the stroll this year was the biggest that we've had yet. And they've got plans there, so they can speak more to that, and then you move the rest of the way down through, and that's flat.
Holiday stroll, why the wrong line? I didn't see that changed.
Holiday stroll was budgeted at 2,000, it's proposed for 5,000.
No, it says 2,000, that's true.
2,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you have a spreadsheet that I printed before they left. That is. I'm gonna in the back of my deck, and I'm really sorry for taking you through all of that.
No.
Have any of the columns, so the budget over is different.
Did you have any budget numbers? You had my budget numbers.
We got total expense of 31,740, that would be yours.
Yeah, all right, I'm sorry. Girls, do you want to talk about parks?
We got the paper. Sewer days we have going up.
No, sewer days should be the same.
We're just our sewer days the same.
So remember, you're trying to get money. Why should we give you money?
Keep this going, this programming, I mean, it's growing every year, every time we do an event, it seems like we're increasing people and we're increasing smiles and people coming to our community, so. Today, we really want to be here to kind of do this community building, we want to work in partnership with you guys to understand where we come from and when we ask for these type of monies. As you can see throughout the years, we ask for a larger amount and then we generally come in a little low, which is great. And that's our intentions to do, but also build on some of the programming that we've had, music series, just for an example, went from 1 month to now 9 weeks, and hopefully we can build on those. And every time we have an event, it just keeps growing and growing, and that's our hopes.
So what's your program director?
The program director is going to bring some other opportunities to us to be able to, as you know, we're volunteers with full-time jobs, and Richard helps us a lot with programming and those type of things to get some of these events in. But we find that there's sometimes that maybe we're missing the boat to get the best that we need for our town. So the programming person, we're hoping will help take some of that burden off so that we can really support everything that we do. We're a small community, a group where there's 3 of us for many years, but we've also been pressing on. So to do all these, it'd be nice to have somebody to help make some of those calls, get those things that are.
How many hours a week come on for what?
Depends on what time you. I mean, it always seems we have the parks in the back of our mind throughout all year long. Sometimes when we get closer to events, it's 5 or 6 hours a week that we're putting into it, not necessarily even the time that we're actually physically working on it. just doing the holiday stroll, I guess if you say that 1 3 hour window, probably altogether with getting things to ready to talk to people, we probably had 8 to 9 hours into that, Same thing, music series, we have just a couple hour window that the event actually takes place, but it's that back part that we're calling, soliciting,
There's-
trying to get food truck.
And I'd say there'd be a lot of hours that goes into facilities, so
Yeah, so it
that's
is.
quite a bunch.
So the program director, the intent is so many hours a week at so much per hour,
No,
just a flat stipend.
that's correct. That was one of the hiccups that we had with the proposal before, was how many hours, how do you manage overtime and holidays and things like that? So it obviously would be a unique candidate, I would think. But it's a lot of that front end and wrap up. Anyway, yeah.
So I don't understand, what are you saying, they get 7,000 a year? And they do all your big events?
They help support all the big events, get things and grow to them, we're looking at maybe bringing Memorial Day Parade back on, looking for something to do in the winter time to. Maybe we've lots of things run through our brain and all these ideas, a snow festival or something like what Farmington does, a fire and ice, but be able to help us have this person that can research some of these ideas and get some of that fresh stuff is gonna be really nice to have as well.
Do they report to you?
I do not believe they would be reporting to us.
And are they,
We'll be working side by side with us to.
do they, are they tied to what, the rec person, is that a different person?
It could be, they're independent, they're proposed to be independent employees.
Terry, you have a question?
Yes, I'm just wondering why, well, it can't go into the budget as like, a gift instead of hiring and making another town position. Now we're going to do one for the parks and one for the rec, so that's another 2 people, or it could be 1 person. I'm just wondering why, if we allow for money to be invested in the town, why can't it just be a gift or something to that effect as opposed to a real position? And then it's locked in the budget forever.
And you might not need it sometimes.
That's
I
your.
don't understand how that works. Can you help me understand that?
Well, couldn't it be like, instead of saying we're hiring a program director, couldn't we take the $10,000 philanthropy budget and say we're gonna give that to the Parks Committee? They are doing the volunteerism, and we're going to give them some funds so they can work and do the Memorial Day Parade, and give out however it needs to be delved down. They've already got a committee, so why can't that happen? Just a question.
Sharon, your thoughts on that?
I mean, we could, but I don't know that we can spend ourselves anymore to bring new things here. Richard, help me out if if I'm going off on a tangent here, but we can show that we can support what we currently have and what we do. And sometimes, yes, it is a struggle to make sure that we're getting all of our deadlines and getting things here. But for, years we hear Memorial Day Parade and we want to be able to bring that back. We want to build on our own parade, but we only have so many resources as ourselves, being volunteers, to reach out to these things. So we're looking for a little bit of help and guidance that somebody would be willing to step up to help do this. And I think Richard was talking about that, and these people have a little bit more resources. If I'm not correct, Richard, but this person would be able to do some of those contacts for us. And we ask for volunteers every year. We're open to have anybody that wants to come and help us out, but it's seeming that's not there. So I think that's where this program director kind of came from. As a paid position versus the volunteers.
John?
I see Usula Days, excuse me, is $3,000 in your budget. But the holiday stroll is 5,000. explain that to me?
There was an increase of it because of some things that we had that happened during the parade part going down through town. So we found that having some of the streets shut off, which is gonna be a cost to us. A lot of what we get for this holiday stroll is, just donations or people putting in the effort. So when we started putting in that safety hazard that we had when we had the parade going through, I think it came up that this could be a cost that we would have to look at traffic control to shut down the street to be able to have that safely, that parade go through. I think there was some other things on there too, Richard, that was recommended by the select board.
Yeah, we don't have capacity necessarily to fundraise to offset the cost of the stroll. We receive funds for the music series. Music series cost you about $10,000 or $11,000. That's paid for large part by a grant. Usula Days is paid for through fundraising,
We always have a parade at Usula Day, so I'm confused.
So that's money that goes into the Usula Days reserve account, their parks events account. It's a special revenue. It's conditioned money for parks events. And so what you get is the bags of t-shirts, people pay for ad space or whatnot. That helps defray the costs to taxpayers. So it's the gap between fundraising and operations.
Why doesn't fundraising show up as revenue?
Because it goes into a special reserve account because it's conditioned. If it shows up as revenue on this chart, then it lapses into the general fund, and I can't have conditioned gifts go into the general fund.
It seems like we should do something, because you never have an idea of exactly how much does the Parks Department cost.
Right. This is the cost of it.
Right.
This is the cost of the Parks Department. And if we stop the music series, you're gonna have, taxpayers will have a savings of up to $3,000. That's because if we don't have the music series, then you don't get the grant kind of the thing.
I guess I'm confused. I'm confused because you're increasing the holiday stroll from 1,100 to 5,000 because of
Safety concerns.
because of safety concerns on the road, but you're not increasing Usula Park days. I don't.
Traffic control is just one aspect of it, and we do have the same traffic control for Usula.
Sure.
We have more donations. We don't get any really cash donations to offset the holiday stroll. So the actual cost of the holiday stroll would be 5,000.
Really?
Whereas Usula Days, we get larger volume of donations.
Really?
I mean, we get checks for $1,000 for Usula
I
Days.
didn't know that.
And
See, that
so,
doesn't show up anywhere.
right,
So there you go. That's whole goes right back to
correct.
my thing with him is there's no transparency, so to speak.
Right, this is what the cost is to taxpayer.
Yeah.
It's the gap fund.
I understand. It's just a little deceiving. It's not deceiving. It's not transparent. In other words, you can't look at the whole event and get all of the information.
Not from an operating budget.
Not from an.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I have a hard time, and believe me, I love the things that you do. But going from 1,100 to $5,000, I don't know how that benefits, the stroll. I don't know how that would change the stroll. The holiday stroll.
So you've got another $1,100 is what it will cost you to bring in temp workers for traffic control.
Yeah.
So that they're licensed. So that's $1 on your budget right there. We had talked with somebody that didn't end up following up, but did fire juggling.
Yeah.
That was something that was talked about. We've talked about live music. We've talked about supporting businesses in doing things in
Yeah.
organizations so that it's not
I
a
see.
cost to them and then we can maximize.
That makes
participation.
sense.
You support businesses, what do you mean, you give them money to?
No. Give them the tools. It might be like what we've done with the Historical Society, where we print off the papers and provide pencils to do letters, or it might be that we take candy cane. We might take candy canes and. Excuse me?
I bought everything that I gave to historical, you had some leftover.
We photocopy on colored papers and whatnot. We do the passports and things like that. We don't ask them to come up with stamps. We would provide stamps when we did passports, but if that is the reason why people can't participate, then that's what we want to overcome. We had some groups from the high school this year that wanted to participate. They had no money, but they had able bodies. And so we did that. One group ended up backing out, but do we need to buy candy canes, sticky eyes, and
Pipe cleaners.
pipe cleaners, so that kids have that activity to do. To create some connection down the street. And then you've got things like the Grinch or the reindeer or things like that where. People want to see more of that, that's $253.
The Grinch was met.
That is, but that's the Parks Committee covers that expense. The Parks Committee purchased
Pay
that,
back to be the Grinch.
no,
Pay for
the
costume.
the costume,
Pay for that,
right,
you know, that visual thing that you're looking to have.
My John had any issues, I think it's all wonderful, so. It's just getting what is the number, how much are we spending and how much do you get? How much are people donating and just the total overview of what it costs. But I like going back to Tara's, I like Tara's idea, why add another person to the staff? Why couldn't you have an idea of what we? First of all, we did stipends before you came, and one thing I was gonna suggest tonight is, I think these people should get something yourself.
But we do it because we enjoy it, we enjoy what we do.
A tremendous amount of work, but then. Why can't you just have an amount in the budget as Tara suggested, that covers, they know they need somebody to make all these calls, you set up, here's what the hourly rate is. You call the person, you get them, so nobody has you're not deciding to pay somebody $200 for this or $3 or that, or whatever, you get an hourly rate. If they want to do it, there's some money.
I guess for the position, I'm gonna have to refer back to kind of Richard, you know, a little bit on that, 'cause that's a little new to me, you know, we know that. In order for us to grow in our programming, we do need some help, so even if it's a volunteer that wants to step up and help that part, but.
I'm not talking about the money, I'm talking about what Tara said, why look at employee and benefits and raises and.
so there are no benefits to the position.
This is-
This is a stipend position, last year, that's what was proposed, an hourly structured position. And that's a large reason why we heard it wasn't successful, because how do you manage overtime and this and that?
What's like an unemployment here for?
That's a tax. I mean, that's not a benefit, that's a federally mandated tax. We don't have health insurance, we don't have retirement benefits attached to this. Which is where, you know, things really start to get, it's strictly a stipend that would support this. If you go the volunteer route. They don't show up, what's the consequence? They've still got, they don't get stipends, but say they did. There's nothing I can do, if you have an elected official that receives a stipend and they don't show up to any meetings, they still get the stipend. I think that's kind of where you get, and I don't know the pivot between a gift and a. Employee, from a legal perspective. Everyone in this room is an employee of the town of Norridgewock. Even if you don't get a check. I still have to pay insurance on you, I have to pay all of that stuff. We have to pay, and when I report to labor, everybody's an employee, so it's not even like we're minimizing exposure. One might argue that we're expanding our exposure by not having them properly on payroll and exposing them to employee equivalent risk.
So what I'm hearing is from Sherry, and basically you said, is by adding this part-time position, pay them a stipend. The hope is, and the reality should be, that we grow all our events in town. Right, and make it more of a happening place.
And we're looking at, you know, some of those seasons or winter, we're not really doing much in the winter time, you know, is there potential we could have. Something happen, you know, and just throwing this out there, we've also talked about. Could we offer something for people in town to get away from town, like to go on tour buses and things like that, you know, somebody like this might be able to help us. Set up a pickup part at the school, and people could travel to a game or to Boston, you know, there's a lot of towns that are doing those things where. You know, we'd like to be able to provide some of those to our community as well.
On one hand, I am 100% in. And on the other hand, I'm 100% out. Only because, Bruce said it earlier, you know, we all came from a volunteer background. I mean, I was on the rec department for 20 some odd years. I never got a penny. So, I mean, in the endless amount of hours, and I mean, many of the people around us, however. It's not what it used to be. There aren't the people there to volunteer like that there used to be, and now we're asking taxpayers. To pay to play. That's what we're asking taxpayers to do. Will you help the town? Make itself look good by, and I agree, is $7,000 is a fair price to pay for someone to coordinate all these. So I don't know, I'm back and forth, I really don't know.
I can't, if there hadn't been any discussion, I came into this tonight very concerned as an elected person. And feeling very strongly that you're elected to represent people, not your own personal interest in something or not interest or whatever. I love the parks. But I had in my mind, we had that election last year, and in a 2-to-1 vote, people in town didn't want to have a paid person. So I think without communicating this, I mean, we just went through a discussion, a 20-minute discussion, how we're gonna look like my reaction when I got this was, okay, I didn't get past there, now they're gonna try and get it through this way. I understand what you're saying, and maybe they didn't have enough explanation last year. People had a hard time understanding what that job was and how it worked. But I just feel people would question me. Look at the great majority voted against it. And now this year it's in there as a line item. What do you think, Becky? Do you want to give it to the parks? Which is, I don't know, it's a problem. I mean, I don't know how you promote it and make them understand it. Do you put it up again and say, yes, we're for a paper, we know you need help. We agreed to it. And the issue was how much it was $48,000. And I think people saw that amount, they take it and just look at parks and you're asking for 7,000, that's a lot different than, and rec is asking for 18,000.
Yeah. So last year, it was one where even when it was put forward, there were a lot of questions, and it's right back to compensation and time off, and where do they work from, and who are they serving, and how do you make sure that it's all metered out? And we pushed information out, but you have public hearings, as you know, and they don't get attended. And instead you get misinformation, and so the misinformation that, comes from the local stores or whatnot, was that it was in the mind of the system. And that they were gonna be doing all my work, so I could just go, vacation in Texas, I guess, for the winter or something like that, but. This is really the heart of what it is, and it controls the cost that people had concerns about. And it answers some of those questions about compensation structure and exposure to providing benefits for people. And then it also creates the target areas of parks and rec. And so now it designates those resources for parks, and it will designate it for rec. Parks is unique because they don't have staff there now. Rec already has staff. Rec has staff that is underpaid. She's a godsend for us. John's probably familiar with all of that and managing the politics of staffing these teams, building them out, and parents, but in rec, there's gonna be some money that gets pulled out because she already received stipends that would then go into this new position, ideally to attract somebody to support and oversee these programs.
No, it's unfortunate, you have been combined with rec. And people saw that as one thing. I think as one price. What they're asking for is a lot different than adding a position in the rec department, I think, which is much more involved.
Well, and that's why your number is the way that it is.
I think I would be more inclined to support the 7,000 stipend if I knew better of what are your projects you have in mind? What is the outline? What do you see this person actually doing? If you're promoting a Memorial Day parade or an extra whatever, what's the outline of the event? And what is this person really going to be doing? And again, if it's a stipend, they could do it in 2 hours.
So
Yeah, it just
their
feels a little
expectation-
excessive to me.
that's the benefit of having it be an employee as opposed to a volunteer that's gifted, because you can oversee and manage. When we talk about the music series, you have to figure that, number one, these volunteers cut out of work early, largely. They come in, they set up, then they're there until 8:30, 9 o'clock. So music series gets over at 7. And they're there until 8:30, 9 o'clock because they're tearing down, they're waiting for the bands to leave. They're pulling down equipment and gazebos and things, pop-up tents and whatnot, and making sure the park's cleaned up. That's what these volunteers do. And we need to make it easier for people to volunteer. And that's why there's only 3 or 4 people in Parks Committee. It's not that it's not fun. It's that it's a lot of work and it's a commitment that, you know, you want to be a part of the holiday stroll and I've got kids and so. So I think it's a dot connection for them. And it's also a connection between the parks and business community, other than me, that's out there helping to sell our businesses through what they do, which is almost every one of their events does it.
Tara, do you have a question?
I do. I didn't get the paper that Richard got around, so I have no idea what the increase is because I'm remote. And what's the difference in the, if you could just go down through real quick and help me out?
Well, the
Yep.
total budget.
So the total is 40, the total recommended by the department and the town manager is 40,950. If you go down the line, program director was 7,000. FICA 540, unemployment 50, family leave 70, workers comp 50, insurance 600, internet 2640, that's for surveillance, electricity 3,000, downtown flags 500, facility maintenance repair 4,000, that's for docks in and docks out. Where are we? Department equipment 1,000, downtown maintenance 500, equipment rental 7,000, holiday stroll 5,000, Usula days 3,000, music series 3,000, seasonal programming 2,500, promotional products 500 for a total of 40,950.
Thank you.
What's our pleasure with this? Motion, where we going?
I guess one of our questions would be is, does the rest of our budget, what we've got down there, look feasible and understandable other than this new position or new stipend thing? Is a question that we could be happy to address some of those things if anybody has questions on that stuff.
You explained holiday stroll pretty well.
How about seasonal programming?
So that came from our fall festival, which was new this year and was greatly attended. So that would be the seasonal stuff we're talking about there, flyers. A lot of that, again, John, was ones that we got donations for. People stepped up and wanted to kind of superhead that for us, but that's where those things come from.
I don't remember the fall festival, so.
It was a Saturday in October, second Saturday in October.
Okay.
We had live music, bounce house, food trucks
Where was it?
in the park.
Yeah, in Shula Park. Yeah.
And remember, all these events that we do, our intentions is to be free to the public. We don't charge entry fees, we don't charge fees for the activities that we're doing, there's a lot offered that you don't see anymore without people having to pay or.
So I guess the question I have is, why 7,000 for a stipend? Why not 5,000 for a stipend?
So a total picture was trying to proportion out the hours that would be committed to the program and make it relative to rec. And then talk about, what they had kind of forecasted last year with the total package that included benefits or whatnot, and balance that with rec. And so once you looked at the needs of parks and then you looked at the needs of the rec, it came up to 18 and 7. So the total new stipend positions is 25,000.
Okay.
But should anybody be looking at it as a $25,000 position that's being hired?
It
Or
could.
you're gonna continue to tie parks to recreation?
So no, it would be hired as a separate position.
Because as it goes on in time, as you,
And who hires them?
I would.
Okay, you're responsible for the selecting the person.
so every event is about $3,000.
That the committee requests from tax base. Yeah.
Is there something that can be done differently for the program director in a different way not making it a paid position? That's a question for you, Richard.
No, this is the proposal that the committee and staff have put forward this year as an alternate to last year. We believe that it's substantially changed, it's improved. And you know, if you don't like it, it can be voted down next year, it can be voted down this year. I think that, you know, to try to just maneuver and say, it's a gift instead of a position, doesn't give faith to the voter or to staff that we won't be able to utilize an employee effectively. Or have the courage enough to be able to say, you know what, it's not working out, and you know, we have to look at things mindfully in review.
Well, I think as a town, we need to move forward. And if we don't move forward, we just become a stagnant little town that has a landfill. So the only way we're gonna do that, and the landfill, God bless them, keeps us, allows our taxes to stay low and people want to move here. So I'm gonna make a motion that we recommend the 40,950 and the 7,000, basically the total budget that the department is requesting.
I'm gonna second the motion, because I think we should.
All those in favor?
It's a no for me.
Okay, John,
John, yes?
Sally,
I'm torn between this. I was wondering if you already have somebody in mind for the position.
Sally, would you be interested?
Mhm.
Would you be interested?
are you interested?
No. Can't even hear. I guess I'll say no.
Okay.
But I think you're doing a fantastic job anyway.
Becca?
I do too, I'm not, 40,000 doesn't bother me, the job, having a employee. And no matter how much you like doing volunteer work, all you're doing is. At some point, I feel like if anybody's put on the payroll. You guys, you can't, access so much probably.
You put them on the payroll, they're gonna take the money you give them and they're gonna put it back into a program. That's what these girls do.
Well, that would be exactly what we would do.
So are you a yay, nay?
I just feel like because the majority of the town voted against having a position, I'm really torn on that. I mean, maybe I have to vote for it for parks. I don't think I can do anything for recreation, so in my mind, I'm thinking,
No, we're doing parks.
I mean, how do you, it was 66% of the people that voted against having a position. So you're elected to support the people. And I admit, you described it, it's different, and maybe if people knew more about what it is, they vote differently. I think right now, I have to say no.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
Okay. Motion fails.
So can we recommend a different amount? So I would move that we remove the associated costs. The first four, is it? Is that right? The 750, 75,
First five.
759,
7710 is the total.
7710 from the 4950.
$33,240.
One more time.
$33,240.
And as a parks budget for this coming year, keeping in mind that in 2022 it was 6,800. 10,000 the next year, 25,000, and last year 32. So
Oh, actually, last year was only 24 after costs and everything came in. That's what we actually
yeah,
spent.
25,534 this year after, yeah. So that's my motion, 33,240.
Do I have a second? Any more discussion? And then let's have a vote. Tara,
Sorry, I'm still a no. I would like to see the holiday stroll come down a little bit, but that's just my thought. So it's a no for this recommendation.
Okay,
Yes,
John's a yes, Sally,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Joe's a yes, Rebecca's a yes.
Yes.
I'm a no.
Motion carries.
So and I'm just curious, can they pay somebody?
Pardon?
Can they pay somebody with the 33,240? To do a program? Could they say part of our expense for the holiday stroll is $1,000 to pay somebody?
They probably could, but if the town accepts the budget committee's recommendation, I wouldn't authorize the expense because it would be disingenuous.
Interesting, okay.
I mean, you folks don't find value in that by a vote of 2 to 5. So I'm not gonna go against that if voters at town meeting
Okay.
endorse your position.
Okay, so this is the budget is recommending the 33,240.
That's correct.
So the selectmen haven't got on it yet.
The select board has not reviewed this budget.
So they could usurp us anyway, and it would go in the book as we recommend this.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay,
I wouldn't say that we don't see value in it, we just would like to see it reworked, and I would like more information.
But the comments that were around this table in opposition to the position, if you will, and the cause for removal was because the majority of the board did not want a new employee on board. And so it would be disingenuous of administration to go against that if the voters at town meeting do that. And if we want to reframe what we've said on record, pleasure of yours, and maybe you could recall it for a vote, but until then, this committee by majority has said that you are opposed to the position because you don't want a new position.
And you don't give any reasons like the citizens of the town voted it down.
The committee and staff believe that the position as it was posed last year is fundamentally different
exactly.
and significantly restructured in terms of compensation and expectations versus this year. This is not like what a neighboring community would do when you vote down a public works, not a public works, but an emergency services building and then bring it
It's not
back
the same
and
project.
bring it back.
It's
This
a
is
different
fundamentally
It's a
different.
different animal.
Thank you.
It's a different animal. I think that is. Like Joe said, you know, we need to move forward and we're not.
May I ask a question? So if this is something that we want to bring forward again, if it does get voted down, would you guys like to see, like you were saying, what is our program? How do we feel?
That was my main draw point is you have a lot of, I'd like, but I need a concrete. This is the project, this is what I see them doing. And it just was a little too ambiguous for me.
Definitely, and we can do that. And we've shown in the past, when we have our visions, we are strong for it, we go for it. And we've been able to pull it off. So we'll definitely make sure we look at what we're anticipating this position to do and some of the ideas that we have.
Yeah.
And full heartedly, like we do with everything to go.
You know, I think it's important, I think that's, it is good for the town,
Great PR.
but.
No, perfectly. It's, those are the things that we need. This is new to us, so.
Yeah, no, I know, I mean, I.
Answer the questions.
When you go to, and also volunteers, when you go to propose something, it helps to have a more structured. This is what we see happening, this is what we need. And to me, this was just, we'd like to have them help to get some things off the ground, well,
Yep, perfect.
so.
I appreciate that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
So just a couple of points of order. How long do people, you guys usually do this till 10, 9?
You can only go until 9, and then you can extend it by half an hour by a majority.
Oh, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
8:30. All right, so we're way out of order and I'm very concrete sequential, so this is driving me crazy. We wanna go from 14 to 15, so the blackbirds, and that one we can like easy win on.
I say we go Sound of Music and start at the very beginning.
Maybe do the fire department.
Fire department.
Recreation and parks are the two hardest.
Yeah, so recreation,
We haven't touched.
parks and 14, let's go to 15.
Oh, yeah.
15, just keep it.
Let's just go to last week.
It's not $5,000.
That's an easy.
So
I think we need to shut our library down, right, Sally?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, let's get rid of those books, burn them. Am I saying this in public? Okay.
Yeah, it should. You're on camera.
That's what it's being taped.
Hope my wife's not watching.
All right, so the questions around the library.
Well, I'm gonna be short and sweet. I move that we accept the proposed library budget.
God bless you. Okay. All right. First and a second, any more discussion? Let's have a vote. Tara, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Okay, Mr. Malik,
Yes.
Mrs. Wilder,
Yes.
Mrs. Ketchum?
Yes.
Yes, Bruce?
I'll do yes.
All right.
That's for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Grandmother used to be the librarian, right? Down the hill. You can mow that lawn for $2 a week.
Are we going to 16, Joe?
The what?
Are we going to 16 too? Code enforcement,
Yes.
okay.
Right. We have the questions on this one.
I wouldn't want the legal one, probably 500 too. Something big gonna happen.
No, you'll, the updated spend for 2025 as of today was $6,300. What we have seen is that the select board is moved forward, with enforcing land use violations. And so we're spending out money on that. We have 2 consent agreements right now that will require that the property owner reimburse the town its legal fees. And then there's a third that's pending right now that could go either way. But you need the money to upstart in order to be able to expend. And so the $5,000 request is ideally to see through the next year. And this would be a place where next year, unless the select board sets up a reserve account for legal, where the revenues would come in and offset this budget
Like
in the future.
Who's the code enforcement officer?
Matt Everett.
Matt Everett.
So Richard, why was actual quite a bit less than budget this year for part-time, for the labor?
Because I was your code enforcement officer for a period of time, we went without, and then also the number of hours worked, because what we've seen is it's been difficult to attract a candidate for the position. And so we did it with the code enforcement and part-time fire chief, we've done code enforcement and the assistant wastewater. And now I've got somebody who's committed to working 20 to 24 hours a week. And so that's where I budgeted in. So if I can have somebody that works for me for 12 months in this capacity, that's working that 24 hours a week, then this is where we'll get.
The 37,450.
Yeah, that's correct. That's based on a 24-hour week.
And how much per hour?
I budgeted for 30 on a fully certified code enforcement officer.
So they have to be certified, they should be certified.
That's correct.
So they basically are gonna be making sure that everybody's in compliance.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if that's the case, the person you hire wants to be in compliance. Correct?
Yep.
Well, he runs around with no trucks unregistered. Did he get a permit for the last garage that he built?
I'm not going to.
Oh, I understand that you're not gonna answer the questions, but
I will
if
answer.
we're gonna hire somebody, we want them to set examples, not try to get away with something.
I appreciate your comment, and I don't believe that it's in the purview of this budget committee, and I would ask to tailor on future inquisitions as such that it be ruled out of order.
On health insurance, explain why the health insurance was not requested?
So it's a part-time position. The only reason we incurred expenses last year related to health insurance was because we were experimenting with creating a full-time position that was shared between two departments. So last year, the sewer department paid for half and code enforcement paid for half, and it didn't sustain.
I reckon her little hand up.
Oh.
She did.
Yes,
Go ahead,
that-
I'm sorry. Just
that
yell
was
out.
my question as well, was the insurance, and because being part-time, whether or not that's part of it or not. So thank you for answering that question.
So basically the budget's what, a 3% increase from last year?
Yeah.
Budget to budget.
And you're not being as cautious with this as the fire department.
Pardon?
If code enforcement, a new person comes along, wants health insurance.
Then we'll have to manage it within the scope, but that would also require,
An increase in.
Gotta work 30 hours.
right, it will,
Is it 30 hours?
well, we budgeted for 24 hours a week.
But to get health insurance, don't you have to be a full time?
Yeah.
Right.
To be.
Or we would prorate the benefits, so it would be at less than 50%. But it's not anything that's in the budget. And ultimately, there'd be cost savings if I had to, there would be a gap. So you realize the cost savings there.
Yes, Tara.
I see you guys snickering at me. I am
Maybe you wanna
wondering,
help.
I am wondering why, or if code enforcement is supposed to be a full-time job, or has it always been a part-time job?
It's always been a part-time job. We've only used code enforcement in the past to create a full-time position, not in the code office. So it would be half-time at the code, half-time at fire, half-time at code, half-time at sewer. And so that's why you've seen some historic health insurance numbers there, but that's not the intention for the upcoming year.
I would make a motion that we approve the 52,065 for the Article 16 code enforcement.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Marion, second. All those in favor, Tara?
Yes.
Yes,
John's a yes, Sally?
Yes.
Yes.
Vicky? Joe's a yes. And
Yes.
Bruce?
I'm a no.
Bruce, a no. Right, let's go to Article 17, which is planning board.
well, I assume the professional fees have a story.
The professional fees in this last year were with Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, KV-COG,
Yeah.
and they supported the planning board's revision of the subdivision ordinance. They, before that, did the shoreline zoning ordinance. And this did not spend as high as it was supposed to because part of that contract was paid out in the previous year. Planning board has just asked for the same budget last year as they did this year, not knowing if they're going to need ordinance revision or whatnot. They would just ask that the funds be available to them.
Makes sense.
I'll make a motion to pass the planning board. 4,200.
Do we have a second?
Second,
I'm seconding. All those in favor, Tara?
Yeah, I'm a yes.
yes,
Yes. Sally?
No.
Yes. Joe?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Can I ask a question real quick on the code enforcement one? I've just got a question. Richard, you said legal fees are going up because of more stuff happening. Is there a revenue coming into that from violations and stuff? And where does that show?
So if we have not received any revenue based upon 2025 expenses, we have 4 orders to receive a associated attorney's fees back to the town. It's not guaranteed, it's possible that they sit on the books accruing interest until the property transfers, if they don't have the means to repay, the town will get it back. As it sets, that revenue that comes back to the town would appear on the bottom portion of this department as revenue that offsets the cost of the department. That is only if the select board does not create a legal reserve for this money to come in to be used for future, whereby you wouldn't then
Lose it.
raise, yeah, to the general fund, but then you wouldn't raise the $5,000 moving forward. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, moving right along, local philanthropy, Article 18. Questions?
I'm confused. There's no money that was spent this year.
There wasn't until I did the sheet today, they have expended $3,625. 250 from this account went to the Historical Society. That was not at the request of the Historical Society.
Yes.
That was not at the request of the Historical Society. That was a gift to the Historical Society when the cemetery volunteers found an artifact that we have since gifted to or loaned to the Historical Society indefinitely, and that's to promote that or other cemetery themed display. Common Unity Place received $2,125 after providing a presentation to the select board, and the Norridgewock Community Christmas Program received $1,000.
Why doesn't the Norridgewock Sportsmen's Association apply?
They have in the past, we did not receive a request or a presentation this year.
What about, Main Public? I don't see anything up for them.
Unless folks reached out to the board, they did not provide any sort of a contribution. The board really wants people to come in and ask and provide a presentation to them. And so there were only two organizations that did that. And again, the exception to this was the Historical Society gift or grant that the town made. And that was only because it was a fund that was available that helps a nonprofit, but it was necessarily to promote the cemetery artifact.
Could this committee put in a request for a donation from Main Public?
You can, but I'm not, I mean, it's gonna just be the total budget. We moved away from budgeting to specific organizations 3 years ago, I believe. And that was to eliminate the controversy among organizations at town meeting. And we had 1 year where it was two local organizations that were battling for dollars. So that would be something to put to the select board, not a part of this.
The Norridgewock Sportsman Association, 2000.
That was in 2024. Right.
Tara, a question?
Yes, because there's Memorial Day on here. And the park committee just said that they wanted to do a Memorial Day parade. Well, couldn't that go under here, Richard?
It could, but it's not intended to. The select board last year, I believe, took things that were in different places and placed them where it made better sense. So you also have grave flags in this budget. The select board wanted that to be reallocated into the cemetery budget. We had the Chamber of Commerce, that's now in the unclassified account, and so they made those adjustments. Memorial Day. If there was like the VFW was doing Memorial Day, then it could, but the VFW is not doing that, so.
I would make a motion that we continue the $8,000 for 2026. Board Articles 18.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second?
I don't think it's hard to vote on this, we don't know where is it under?
People have to request it, so. Unless someone requests the philanthropy donation, then Richard doesn't go out and ask. So if you want public radio, you call public radio and have them put an application in. That's all you have to do. You can't do it. The organization has to do it.
But it's not done all at one time. If somebody comes in as Common Unity did, which I think is your place, came in at the end of the year, asked for what was left in the budget, got it.
I don't know.
There was never any review of here's all the people. They said you have to come in and do a presentation. You did a nice presentation. I heard it. But to me, it's a hard way to do it, I think. I mean, it's not local. I know, I think you said 25% of your business.
5.4%.
5.4. 5.4 goes to Common Unity Place, which is in Skowhegan.
Well, which is in Somerset County, be careful.
Yeah.
It's located, the facility is located, so you're twisting words, Becky.
I know.
If
No,
I
I'm
could-
trying to say, how are we gonna use, is the money gonna be $8,000 spent in Norridgewock philanthropy, or is it summer? I'm not saying it's not right to do it. I'm saying, to me, it's loosey-goosey now. Who gets it? Now you get it. What you
I'll
do.
send you the application,
Yeah.
so you understand, 5.4% of our request was
Yeah,
for
but
Norridgewock
you're-
residents.
You're I'm not arguing with your thing. I'm saying you're one person who did it. And I mean, I'd rather say the Christmas Club were giving this, it's.
I don't know what you're asking, so so what,
The select board in the past has responded to form letters. We received dozens of them. And that did not carry any weight. We would respond to the form letters and say, please provide us this information. And you didn't get a responsive answer. You wanted their finances, you wanted their last nonprofit filing that showed you they've got $6 million sitting in the bank or something like that. And nobody would come. And it became organization versus organization. And so then it just boiled down 2 or 3 years ago to this lump sum. And then the board, as the elected officials, could meter that out as they saw fit, and the priority was to be given to Norridgewock affecting organizations. And that's kind of what's happened. As far as the administration of it, folks are aware of it. We obviously don't have people knocking on the door now.
But you've got $5,000 left over.
That's
And
correct.
so now there's a motion to do $8,000 again.
Maybe there was a need at the Historical Society next year that there wasn't this past year, or maybe other organizations that maybe didn't come in and request, will request this next year.
In 24 was 7,800, right, actual.
I like to think that the organizations, and I know that that's the way that it works for a lot of them, is that they only ask if there's a defined need. Where there might be a gap in a heating system, or there might be a gap in a roof replacement or something like that. And so I think to take the $2,000 or $3,000 we spent this year and say, well, that's all we need for next year, I don't think that if you don't spend it, then it goes back into your general fund and we'll use that to offset taxation. But other than that, there are a lot of potentially needy organizations in our community that could use that benefit.
So we had a motion and a second, right?
Yeah.
More discussion?
So it's promotion of how it's.
So let's take a vote. Tara,
Oh. Uh, yes.
yes,
yes,
Yes, yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. All right, Article 19.
young people with your phones, holy moly. Summer grounds,
Summer grounds, Article 19.
wow, he was pretty good.
I make a motion to pass the requested 45,000.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion? Second.
I'm curious, can we have discussion for a second? So I'm curious why you requested 45 if last year it cost you 41.
So we had a lot of interest in the 2024 cycle in the contract. And so the select board ordered it to be bid back out, and we bid it back out, and the price was reduced by 3,000 through sealed bid process.
Thank you.
So that's hard money, doesn't matter.
That's, it's lump sum contract, we paid out bi-weekly.
Okay, I got a motion in a second, any more discussion? Let's take a vote. Tara?
Yeah. Yes.
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 Yes. Next. Okay, Article 20, debt service.
This is the town's contribution to the sewer debt. The town is responsible for the principal, the users are responsible for the interest.
Well, really nothing we're gonna do there. Motion to,
We accept our, yeah, we
second. Any more discussion? All right, so vote, Tara?
Yes.
Yes.
Debt service and the sewer bond.
Yes. Okay. Rebecca?
Yes.
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 Yes. Bruce?
Yes.
This one always burns me because historically, if we didn't let waste management dump their leachate, we'd be living by us the whole.
Well, I wonder how much, where New Balance doesn't dump in there, how much, well, that doesn't, all that have to be figured in this sometime. Because New Balance ain't gonna be paying a huge fee anymore.
I think $15,000 a year estimated.
Different to
15.
last. How are we gonna make that up? They figured it out yet?
So commissioners have approved the budget for 2026. And they'll do a rate review probably after the first half. And then we're working with partners right now on proposed redevelopment opportunities for the facility.
All right, unclassified, Article 21.
I make a motion to pass Article 21, Town Manager's Request 32002.
Seconded.
Okay, we're gonna. First and a second. Any discussion?
I did have a question about the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce. We started out, used to be a $500 membership fee. And it's like, did they ever put Norridgewock on the map? That annoyed me in the book.
Yes.
So it had all that, at Smithfield, we weren't on the map. So, good correction.
Okay, moved and seconded. Take a vote, Tara?
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ooh. No, not that.
I think you're to the point where you're gonna go back to the beginning.
Yep.
What's Article 23? Contingency, was that?
22
Oh, sorry, contingency.
22 used to be roads, and that's why there was no article.
These are the placeholder numbers left over from last year.
Yeah, well, let's do contingency. We'll hold this capital
Yeah.
reserve in advance. So
What did you say?
Contingency.
we're gonna do contingency, Article 23. and
Okay.
Hold 24. Okay, so contingency, Article 23, what's your pleasure?
Do we know what the fire department's actual is?
There was no contingency used in 2025.
What is contingency?
Just in case money that's approved by voters.
Okay.
We have
Yeah.
largely a budget overrun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where did all this money go then?
The $25,000 was raised and it will lapse into the general fund surplus. And we will, as a part of a financial move later, ask to appropriate probably $550,000 from surplus, which is all the money that went unspent this year, to then offset the expense.
I would move that we budget $25,000 for the contingency, Article 23.
First, we have a second.
Second.
Second. So vote, all those in favor, Tara?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. I'm a yes. Anything?
Yes.
Bruce, a yes. Nice. All right, back to the beginning. Hopefully we'll put the over budget summary. Do you want to do revenue summary now or just the best?
What are we on right now?
5, administration.
Okay, thank you.
That's a quick one.
All right, Richard, tell us about administration.
Administration generates an increase over previous year net to tax of plus 12,000. Your expenses are up 29,000 versus last year's budget. Your major drivers are wage and the related expenses, so that's contractual wages across contractual increases across the board. From me right on down to office staff, those are all contracted increases. That nets out to plus 16,000 across all employees. The audit is up $6,000 over last year. That's supply and demand is largely what we're seeing here. And then your software and web expense is up 3,000, largely related to the website cost of hosting. And hosting, I'll say, I don't know too much about it. My fee from the website company is doubling. And so that's going to be an increase of about $2,500 just in that alone. It was something that they asked for in April or May of this year, and I was able to beg them off until the end of the year, but we're looking at just shy of $5,000 now for the website and associated. That's really where you're at on the revenue side of things to help lessen the impact on taxpayers. Interest income, we've added another $10,000 there, and your lien fees we expect will increase as well. And that's because lien fees is an expense and lien fees are the revenue. The registry of deeds has restructured, and so now it's not $19, it's $25 to file a lien or discharge a lien, and so that will go up proportionally, and that's why you're seeing those increases that you'll see change in the top and then in the bottom, largely offset.
Richard, could you go back over what audit is for me, please?
Yeah, so the audit, we do that year end. We just started today, actually, in person. The firm comes in and they take a look at all of our books, top to bottom. They do sampling and they review all of our financial statements. Our audit is more expensive than what you would normally see in a town our size because they audit 3 funds. So in essence, you're auditing 3 companies because we have our town, we have the airport, and we have the sewer. They get billed out proportionately. And so this is just our area, but it is a more complex audit. The infusion of federal funds from time to time impact that, and then also changes in our fixed assets. I want to phrase it politely, but they really they've got us in a corner because you've got municipalities that are 2 and 3 years back on audits. Schools are 2 and 3 years back at least on audits. You've seen it in the press. And so what are you going to do if you want to keep caught up in order to get a lot of these monies, i.e. federal money for the airport, things like that? You have to have recent audits. And so that's just kind of what it is. And the supply and demand of that business is like a lot of others. They're now just able to charge more.
I saw them all this morning. I wondered what that was.
And they'll be here tomorrow and they'll be here on Thursday as well.
Pretty cool.
Be a good week. Budget, the 2025 budget, if you go down to total revenue is 122.
Yes,
And actual is 174.
yes.
What's the discrepancy there?
I try to budget conservatively. And so revenues are things that I can use to offset increases when they come in disproportionate to, kind of what's expected. So what you'll see for a big gap there is my interest income, what we're earning on our accounts.
Okay.
I don't know where we're gonna be in terms of interest income. We've been very, very successful with that the last few years.
Yeah, okay, so you just look at it conservatively.
It helps on more difficult years, where if I need to squeeze another 5,000, I can squeeze it out of a place like that. You'll see the same thing in motor vehicle excise tax.
Okay.
What is the subscriptions? It's not a big cost, but it's
Subscriptions it's largely a reallocation of expenses. We've got Amazon, we have Zoom, and then we've got Sam's Club. It's those types of things that all kind of roll in. Zoom, I think, is in the ballpark of $700. I'd have to zero in to get you any more than that, but that's about everything. Zoom is $700 or $800, and then you've got our artificial intelligence subscription, that's $20 a month right now, things like that.
seminars, I think they're doing a better job. Everybody's going now.
So we really encourage people to go. I can't force them. I could force them to go. I'm not in that business. If you're not in the mood to learn, then you're not in the mood to learn. But we try to encourage people to go to municipal things, and that makes you more comfortable down the line to pick up the phone and call another town. Before you have to call it state, wait in line and things like that.
Where are you putting general supplies now?
General supplies is usually just one of those catch-alls that got away from them. I'm not a fan of a catch-all account, so I believe that everything can be put somewhere else. So whether it's an office supply or it's even a small piece of, if it's a calculator, well, that could be general, but it also could be equipment. That's kind of the thing.
So awards of recognition, we had $2,500.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's a line that I've allowed to balloon. It is what we do with the public. So when we do Spirit of America recognitions or
The firemen's awards last year, that kind of thing.
yep, that all comes out of admin. We're new business recognition, years of service for town employees across every department. We do I think we've had to take a little bit out of that to support the elementary kids coming over. If we don't have rewards on a credit card, we try to give them crayons in an activity book or something like that. And so there's nothing.
Something I was thinking, some of that could go to parks.
Well, this is admin. Parks want something, and Parks has to do something. Yeah. And we also try to do something special for our employees across the board, usually the holidays, and that comes out of admin. It doesn't come out of each department.
Can you give me an honest answer about how we do per for our size as far as an administrative cost?
It's difficult. I can't give you I can't.
No. Okay.
It's difficult because the construct of every local government is different. You can look at it comp to us population wise, and that'd be Clinton. Or you could look at a comp like Fort Fairfield. Clinton is pretty small. They've got a small police department, fire department. Their town office is very different. They don't have a formal public works garage, no airport, things like that. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
When you start looking at compensation, I know that mine gets talked about a lot. We are on par. We are not trending behind and ahead. If we're trending ahead and you find a comp that's different, you want to look at the support staff that individual has. They've got an executive assistant or an assistant, things like that are along the line. I think at last look, I had 14 job titles, and there's not too many that I don't have to touch on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to transfer that type of a thing, but.
So Christine and Amy are both full-time,
That's correct.
and looks like $10,000 more than last year, but you eliminated. You had a usual year with.
We've had an unusual 36 months. And a lot of that's been on my back, quite frankly, because when you're short staffed and you just have to go in and do it. We've tried to bring in some part-time help and that was great to alleviate lots of vacations, but it just hasn't been sustainable necessarily. So the goal is to avoid the part-time need. If we do need part-time, that would come from offset of absence somewhere else. Our actuals are down because there have been things like short-term disability or income protection plans that have offset wages when the town doesn't.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Could I ask,
Second.
Oh, Karen?
ask a question about the health insurance? What happened there? Last year it was budgeted 52,000 and now it's 53,000. That's not an increase of 9%. So less people?
Well, I budget a little bit differently in admin because I've got I would argue, a pretty firm grip on what goes on. I have a mix of buyouts and I have a mix of full take. So I blend that. I usually estimate about 75% on somebody that's currently taking my buyout. And in a perfect world, I'm gonna retain them for 6 months through the budget season. You'll probably have a gap. If you lose an employee, you're gonna have a gap where you're not paying at all. And then you've got the upstart of a new employee. So last year I didn't have that second person with paying benefits, which is why the spend was short. But when I calculate out everything, this is where I'm coming to, and that's largely because we've onboarded another employee that does not take our full benefit plan.
So we got a motion to approve as written. Do you have a second? Wait a second. Any more discussion?
What's the safety program?
Safety program is something that we've stood up because of our insurance and workers' comp, and we've been trying to do things periodically. We lost track when we went short staffed in the office again, but we get gifts, if you will, for employees. We've done bug spray. We did tick removers that were actually ended up being donated by a business. Sunscreen, things like that that can be tied to an educational message and then distributed to employees. And then that allows us to maintain our workers' comp discount that we get.
Good. Okay. Any more discussion? Let's take a vote. Tara?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Sally? Yes.
Yes.
Ruben?
No.
Josie, yes. Item 6, elected official. Should we include in this the change we made on stipend?
What happened with ballot clerks? The difference there?
Say again, please.
What happened with the difference in ballot clerks? Budgeted was 4,000. Actual was 1,600.
We had it's an off year, it was an odd number of years, so you don't have a big referendum election generally. And not a lot of hand counting. When we can machine, we tend to save money. But when you have big primaries for gubernatorial or US Senate or presidential, that's when it really takes the draw on our budget. We're able to get by with 2 to 3 people on a regular small election, but when you get into larger general elections, it takes us 6, 8, 10 people to get through the day.
So somebody dropped out of the planning board.
They resigned
Actually,
effective.
it's December.
Yeah.
what do you recommend for the ballot clerks for 2026? There's nothing on here.
I would recommend that we maintain the same budget for everywhere else, yeah.
Tax assessors.
Okay, so you recommend the 2025 budget of 17,725.
17,735.
Right, Richard?
Well, no, it's gonna
You
be,
just say it's gonna go.
I'm at 21,125.
yeah.
If I put forward your recommended
10,000.
change for the select board.
Okay.
And that would be the only change versus previous year
Mhm.
to recommended budget.
One more time.
21,125.
I recommend 21,125 for the elected officials, Article 6.
Got a motion or a
That
second?
motion.
No, second. More discussion. Let's take a vote. Tara?
Sorry, my button doesn't work all the time. So yes,
Was it
Yeah.
Sally, yes.
Yes.
Becky, yes. Lori, yes.
Yes.
Bruce?
Fine to know.
Article 7, tax assessing.
This consists of two components. One is your assessing agent who's asked for an increase in the contract for the first time. Well, this would be year 3. And then tax mapping is something that's contract that's fixed, and that provides us with our updates and hosting of the GIS website.
This is another service that's not like a whole bunch of people paying on their door to do assessing, so.
No,
No, so when they ask for an increase, you kind of gotta give it to them.
it's a 5% in 2 or 3 years.
I'd like a motion to pass 26.8 for tax assessment.
26.8, you said?
That's this year's actual.
I'm sorry.
I second it.
So the motion was amended to 28, right? So Tara's second, yep, so it's the first and second for 28,000, so basically the manager and selectmen's board recommendation. Any more discussion? So vote, Tara.
Yes.
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 Sally, go. Becky,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Ketchum.
Already passed it. Yes.
Joe, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
All right, Article 8, public safety.
This is relatively a net zero to this year. It's a decrease of $805. You are the same down along through. The only change is that we have budgeted 9,000 for the shelter contract last year, but we didn't know the number. And we know the number this year will be the same at 8195. The vast majority of this is related to hydrant usage or which is our payment to the water district. It's a percentage, it's up to 30% of their operating budget. It's been approved by PUC, and with no increase forecasted on the water district, then we expect that payment to be flat this year.
A shelter contract animal or?
Yes, we made citing.
Any questions?
The jump in electricity streetlights, that seems huge between actual and budgeted.
They added lights.
We haven't added lights. Lights will be added this upcoming construction season, but I have one more bill that has not hit this. I think it's going to hit tomorrow night, and this is the most expensive and wonderful time of the year to pay streetlight bills. So I fully expect that bill to be 1,500 to 2,000.
And CMP's not going down.
Right.
Nope.
Sure.
And we didn't up the budget if it's not going down? Why did we stay at a flat rate of 18,000 for next year's budget?
I thought the budgetary number was reasonable, given our actual position. And I didn't see a need to increase that. We still should have some wiggle room there.
Thanks.
Yep.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass Article 8 in the amount of town manager's request 136, 592, or 595, excuse me.
Yep. Do we have a
A
second?
second,
We have moved and seconded. Let's have a vote. Sarah,
Yes?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, it's back on. Back. We're gonna skip over 9, we've already done it. Move to Article 10, Public Works.
Public Works has an increase in forecasted expenses of about 5,000, a little shy. And then I have added in realized more excise tax revenue to offset, and this cost to tax through the budget is neutral. Your wages are flat in this budget, which does not signify no increase to these folks. It is the fact that they remain understaffed or subsidize full-time work through part-timers. And we're still budgeted to capacity. The problem is that with this kind of employee environment, we can't stay full staff all the time. And so that's what allows us to keep that the way that it is. The budget in electricity is up 2,000. Your heat for the facility is up 1,000. We found cost savings on vehicle fuel with the contract there. Your equipment rental is up 4,000 on the budget side of things, and our actual is higher than that, I believe. Those are lifts, compactors, rollers, and then majority of that is actually when we stockpile salt and sand. The equipment to do that. And then that's where that's what I've got on the expense side. And then, like I said, I realized another 5,000 for motor vehicle excise to neutralize the increase.
How many full-time employees?
But right now we're at 5. We're billed for 6, but if I can keep 5 on payroll, I'm doing well.
Did you say what professional services, why that went up?
I did not. $1,500 didn't hit me on.
incredible how we can do this.
I would have lost everything.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, here's my question.
They didn't have these kind of screens for you, John, did they? Just
No. I remember
pads of paper. Pads of
your mother's books.
Yeah.
Everything handwritten. There was no computer.
So your professional services was 1 tow of a loaded dump truck.
Wow.
That was an emergency charge. 2 o'clock in the morning kind of a thing. Yep.
I've got a question too on the health insurance. Why did it not go up 9% here for another almost 7,000?
So that's very similar to admin and how we handle admin. We have employees that take buyout at Public Works. And so I don't realize the cost of the potential cost to 100%.
Now, explain to me, because I asked this, I haven't been on budget committee for 15 years, but what's the difference between winter and summer road?
So winter roads is salt, sand, cutting edges. That's about the extent of it. Liquid calcium on occasion. Your summer roads are your gravel, your culverts.
Okay, the small maintenance.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
And Bigelow Hill dusting.
Calcium application.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like you should be paying for that yourself.
Right? I think I should.
Here's the comments. You wanna make a motion?
You know, you move the public works.
Public Works, Article
I
10.
make a motion that we approve, Article 10 in the amount of $775,000.
Second the motion.
Okay, the first and the second. Any more discussion? Until the vote, Tara?
That's a yes.
Yes.
Yes. Marion?
Yes.
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 Motion carries, Article 10 is approved as. Good. Article 11, cemeteries.
Cemeteries is largely a flat budget request versus last year. You have a significant gap in actual versus budget request. The request is largely a renewal of last year. And the committee has identified, they've got a working capital list of things that need to be done, but they've also identified places that trees do need to be removed in the upcoming year. And then they have the mapping proposal that they would like to see put through, which would be technology and software subscription to maintain and house that data. So it's a hopeful project that they'd like to get off the ground and would like the money to be there if they are able to find the bodies to do it. Touche.
But touche.
Warm bodies.
Yeah, warm bodies, they should. Pretty funny, actually.
You did well.
Motion to accept.
I recommend $8,400 for the cemetery committee.
Okay.
The first and the second. More discussion. All those in favor, Tara?
Yes.
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 Perfect.
General assistance.
General assistance is municipal welfare that is subsidized by the state of Maine. It is governed by an ordinance that the state of Maine tells you have to adopt, and it's governed in that ordinance. There are income requirements and guidelines. And candidly, the income guidelines are very low in terms of what qualifies. And so we don't have people that generally they're eligible for it, or they don't have that defined need. One of the benefits that we have here is we are the Salvation Army office for this town, and so oftentimes when somebody would be eligible for $100 or $150 in general assistance, we're able to give them a voucher for food or something like that to help mitigate the need. Yeah.
So the 5,600 is just a number.
It's a number that's been there for 10 years, and so it seems to work, and it goes back into the general fund or surplus, and then it comes back out.
So if someone did not qualify for Salvation Army, could they come in and get assistance?
We generally ask people to apply for general assistance first, because it's subsidized through the state, and the Salvation Army is a standalone nonprofit that just grants us this book to be able to administer for 5 towns. But if they're eligible for the government funded program, we ask them to use that first. And then if they're not eligible for that, then we'll use the Salvation Army money. Salvation Army is supposed to be limited to a small amount once a year.
Believe me, I know.
Right. So we try to guide people through the programs first before we just open up the voucher book. But
Any other discussion? Somebody entertain a motion?
I move we accept Article 12 for 5,600.
Second.
First and second. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Approved. Very good. Thank you. Article 13, recreation.
so you'll see again at the top, this is the other half of what we discussed at parks, where this would be 18,000. What you can also see in the lines below is that there is a decrease in the basketball, soccer, and baseball wages, it reflect the compensation of the current program director. This all started with the rec committee back a while, knowing that their current program director, who serves as all three, would like to get done, and that compensation isn't enough to attract anybody to that position. And it's just on goodwill and guilt that we are able to manage right now. So they calculated out, it was the rec committee that really kind of looked at the hour allocation and, you know, how many hours and weeks do you have tied up into each program? And they totaled that out, and that's where that 18,000 came from. And so then you reduced your basketball, soccer, and baseball wages in part because that person would assume that director role for each of those. Other than that, the department represents a decrease to the budget. You've got the 18,000 and up at the top, plus the associated taxes, and your budget's up 19,990. So you've got a couple tweaks here and there, like you've got $300 of electricity.
Equipment rental, I know it's over, but
So equipment rental is over and it is up, and that is largely related to portable toilets and the activities that they're holding at the ball field. We used to have one, then we went to two, and for the vast majority of the season, we were at 3 or 4. And the committee does not feel that moving backwards from that is appropriate. It's or sanitary, and they also don't want to put even more pressure on the library. It's bad enough, the code distance right there. But it's just, you've got one restroom that's inside, and when they have a tournament there, this is your toilets and everything.
So help me understand. So if we approve the 18,000 for a program director, would the wages for basketball, soccer, and baseball be eliminated?
No, they're already reduced. They're already reduced in the proposal because you still have to pay for officials.
Oh, those are official part,
Those are included in that.
oh, I'm sorry, okay, I see what you're saying, okay. Do you think someone's out there for $18,000?
I hope so.
I guess that's not really the question, is it?
So this essentially is a spring to fall position.
We do soccer in the spring. No, we do baseball, softball, t-ball in the spring. Then we do soccer in the fall, and then we're in basketball season right now.
Yeah.
And that'll wrap up.
I was thinking outside stuff, yeah.
That'll wrap up into late March.
So,
ages are through 5th grade.
Pre-K through grade 6. We still include grade 6 of middle school.
so I know that this is a difficult question to ask, but many towns have pay to play. And I see that our income over the last year was much more than the previous years. Is this from out of town fees, or is this already pay to play being implemented?
It's a little bit of both, and I believe what you're gonna find is that there are offset revenues in these revenue figures. Because they sell banners and t-shirts. They sell sponsorships to offset program cost, to offset the cost of shirts. So the taxpayers don't pay for the shirts. Every kid gets outfitted in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's paid for by 6 or 7 businesses that write a check for $200. I think that's what's sitting down here at the bottom. I'd have to verify with Peter, but that revenue will disappear, but then you'll see your spend up top decrease. So soccer is at $3,500 right now.
Yeah.
For an actual of over last in 25, when you take a good chunk of that revenue, the couple $1,000s below that, soccer is going to be in line. So it's the t-shirts, it's one of those flow in, flow out, you don't get the whole picture. But that's how they cover an expense that we would normally pay.
Has the rec department thought about a cost per player?
Yes, so they, at their last meeting, we're evaluating the cost of each program and what it costs. We're at record enrollment right now. It used to be 80 to 100, and we're at 110 to 120, depending upon the sport. In town, the select board asked the rec to consider eliminating in-town fees. And so that's what they did. Taxpayers already paid for it, do they have to pay for it again? I get the pay to play. The committee endorsed it, and then revenues as a budget factor were wiped out. we've been charging Smithfield and Mercer $20 per player. To come to town, which does not cover our costs. The rec committee is recommending that increase go to $35 to participants from Smithfield and Mercer in the upcoming season. That money comes in and goes to the general fund.
Oh, to the general fund. So it appears as a revenue, not as an offset in the rec department.
That money, the participant fees, that's correct. And if you are not from around, you pay $35 already. So if you're from Madison or Skowhegan or Fairfield, Augusta, those we had a kid come up and play from Augusta right now, and they pay $35 already. Committee decided that if you're not from Norridgewock, we shouldn't subsidize it, you should be paying $35.
Yeah.
A Norridgewock kid plays for free.
That's what.
Which I think they should.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, this isn't like a flourishing economic area, so it's gonna give kids those opportunities to play, but. I mean, you go by the fields and they're packed, you go by the school and they're packed. I mean, John spent years and multiple hours. I mean, it's all good. I'm not a soccer fan, but a lot of people are, and I mean, it's well done now, lights at night and everything else. I personally, again, I'm very fiscally conservative, but I personally wouldn't have a problem with a program director. I think there's a ton to do there. You can only continue to make it better and make it better for the kids. I mean, a lot of these kids don't have anything except playing sports. I mean, we like to face reality, but reality is this is an opportunity for kids to get away from their whole home life and come play sports. So.
I second your motion from experience. And
I made a motion.
I know, I second your comment.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept it.
Look hard.
So I made a motion to accept the town manager's request of $55,090. Did I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I have discussion. I think we have to keep in mind that the young people who are coming through this organization, sports is more than about winning and losing. I remember two young people, Matt and Jeff Ober. And there are many stories that I can tell you about Matt and Jeff Ober. But I got to know them not as rough little kids. I got to know them as competitors. And, you know, I think that says a lot for their adult lives. They're competitors and they're people who have good background. And I think a lot of that comes from being involved with other students on this field, whatever kind of field that might be. So I see a lot of value in it.
Any more discussion?
Yes. I would stick with my 2/3 of the town voted no, 2/3 of the people that voted, that's the important way to say it. So unless it's repositioned and they rethink it and they want it, I feel like elected to represent what people want. I can't be for it. That's my reason.
Motion in a second. All those in favor, Tara?
I'm a no on this one due to the paid position.
Okay,
I
John,
say yes.
Sally?
She's no due to this position. I voted down. I heard a no.
I think it's a big jump there. And I do agree with what John was saying, but that's a no.
Okay,
No.
yes.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
You, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Motion carried.
We're back to
I should vote too.
Which you've already acted on.
Yeah. You wanted, can we do capital reserve and go home?
We have to come back again anyway.
Oh, we do.
But we have to come back for capital reserves and
He wants to do capital reserves and go home. Do capital reserves and want to go home and then have to do revenues. and then go home after that. Capital reserves and revenues.
That's good for the.
No, we don't have to do that. Do you foresee any other business we'll have to take up, discuss?
I don't,
Okay. Everybody good, continuing?
I'm okay.
No,
Sally,
no,
you-
another time, I'm here, it's nice weather night.
Yeah, and Joe said he'd take us out to dinner, didn't
Yeah.
It's a joke.
No, it's a pleasure to stay.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Wanna go
If
through
we
it?
do, you're saying if we do the last three things, we have to do this in one meeting. Stick with four things for me.
All right, capital reserves.
so your capital reserves request,
Article 24.
yep, it represents an increase of $65,000 over last year. I will zip your changes through your fire equipment. Todd spoke to that earlier. That's an increase of 15,000. The fire building is 10,000 up. The library is seeking an additional 5,000. Down to the sewer, the select board asked that I integrate $35,000 into a subsidy for those operations, and that nets you to 1.195 million.
Okay, so this one I had a little bit of angst around because I'm not a fan of just putting money in a savings account without, we have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. If money gets put in accounts, it gets spent, especially if it doesn't say we're gonna buy a fire truck, or we're gonna buy a dump truck, or we're gonna buy. And I mean, we need to put some away. I just don't know in my mind that we need to put this much away. Roads was one that I had, so the 261 that's negative, did that come because we moved that in the budget?
We spent $261,000 from
This
the road
one.
budget, yeah.
So is that all we spent on roads last year?
No, we did Wilder Hill Road. And that is reimbursed back through the federal government under the,
Because it was a flood damage.
no, that was the congressional directed spending request that I was able to secure.
Oh,
So we received about $2 million, 2.5
Okay.
million, that sits with HUD until we're able to execute projects. So this next year, one of those is gonna, hopefully is gonna be Bigelow Hill Road, that will be HUD money. But
So like total projects for this construction season, how much money are we talking?
Probably we're gonna be looking in the ballpark, I mean, hopefully of $1 million.
A million that we have to fund for million?
No, right, you're not gonna largely pay for any of it. But
Okay,
we're gonna pay for it and then it'll come back to us as reimbursement.
okay,
But this, I look at it and say that this is allowing us to sustain the long-term plan. We know that we're gonna need to, we need to overlay. We need to have roads like Welch Street that aren't gonna get covered under any other program. That's gonna be dealt with, and so.
I mean, what's the road plan now, 10 years? 20 years?
Right now, every road is planned. It's just as it's constricted by budget. So we just purchased a 3-year contract with a company that came in and scanned all of our roads. And they look at the pavement condition assessment, inventory, and they score our roads and sections of road. And they have just told us that, you know, there's not enough money to do what we want to do, obviously, but if you did Welch Street, Wayne Street or Dave's Garage, you did that and did it right, that's an estimated ballpark of 700,000 to 800,000.
Really?
It's flat, so you're looking at all under drainage and things like that, and engineers, and we love our engineers, but they don't come for free. It's really it's one of those obstacles.
Why would we put money in the cemetery account with the $64,000 in the bank? I don't understand why we put another 15,000 in there. Like Joe said, where's our plan? It's our 5-year plan.
So the cemetery committee has a plan of things, list of things to do. And it exceeds this. it's a matter of supply and demand. You can't find enough people or enough contractors or qualified people to come in and do the work that we need to have done.
Okay.
Stone restoration and things like that. I'll be candid with you, I put in a $10,000 recommendation last year, and the cemetery committee put in 15, and there were no questions asked at town meeting. Let's give them the 15. So that's why you get my endorsement of their proposal, because they didn't, there were no qualms about it. This account also benefits from the sale of lots and interest on the perpetual care trust.
We have stones dating back to the 1700s. There's no longer anybody around to fix them or do things. They're falling over one on top of the other.
Oh, I agree 100%, but spend the money. I mean, if you're gonna have it, spend it. When we started the rec thing 100 years ago, we said we spent every money that we had because I asked for it, and here you ask for 15 and haven't spent anything. So I don't know, it just doesn't. Yeah, I understand, we'll do the work. I mean, so I know it's easy, not that easy, but.
It's a dying breed too, I mean,
Was that?
it's a dying breed.
Oh, it is.
To do it.
So don't put money in the account then, if you know,
You expended 7,000.
Right,
7,000
and
last year.
can you imagine if we had that in the budget too, it just.
So, I'm sorry, I know it's a minor amount, it's just,
But no, but when you add up all the columns and you're putting $1 million essentially away, you're gonna spend some of it, but that. By rights, a lot of that should go back to reduce taxes.
when you buy trucks, I understand, a fire truck must be $500,000. Imagine a dump truck, I mean, how much are they? How much is a truck, Bruce? A new truck?
About 380,000.
Yeah, see, yeah, so I mean, I appreciate putting money like that away every year. But even the rec department, $30,000, for what? I don't know what the plan is.
So the rec department would like to do lighting. They would like to light the complex. And then there's the discussion that's early on, very early on, about if the library moves, then what? And is there possible for integration over there? And they'd like to be in a better position to move on something like that. Then we talked about finishing off the batting cage, redoing the dugouts.
You've already got $28,000 in there. I don't know, I have a problem, again, with the rec department, $30,000 to put away, you know,
So libraries, is there a plan for Joe new library?
So there is a library building committee that's in place right now. The committee is exploring the possibility of constructing a new library with the current prime location being the Gilman lot, former Gilman lot next to the school. They have concept plans put together. They're working with an architect and an engineer to do 25%. And the goal at that point in time would be to have a cost estimate for the project, and then allow voters to guide how it goes forward from there. I candidly was surprised that all that was asked was an additional $5,000 when there's something like this that seems to be knocking at the door, but I think the trustees are of. If there's public support, then there'll be public support, and the funding will come into place. I'm not gonna.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that.
Right.
What did the select board say about parks? They didn't support your. That's the only thing in this entire budget that select wasn't in the.
Park is at 20,000.
Right. Select is nothing.
Yeah, they haven't reviewed capital reserves yet because they didn't have the parks and rec requested.
So everything they had that is the same as your.
in the parks department, they spent 68, is that the gazebo?
Yes,
Okay, and they still have 57 left?
yes.
And what do they plan to do with the 57, do you know?
There's no concrete plan for investing, but they've been, you've got a playground. It's in pretty good condition right now, but if you want to replace that playground, and have the same layout, you're looking at about 400,000 to 500,000.
Really?
Yep. You've got Ashland Park where there's a building down there that's been funded through PIP support and whatnot, but if anything else goes down there, the lighting, all of that now falls on parks, docks and whatnot, and those are all, you give somebody a facility and that's the cost of the facility, right? So they don't have any concrete plans to spend money. Most of these accounts don't have concrete plans to try to spend money.
And you get someone like the airport who only asked for 10,000. It just doesn't seem. Okay. So I'm gonna make a recommendation, I'm gonna make a motion, that we raise $1,165,000, which is $30,000 less than what's recommended, taking $20,000 off the rec and $10,000 off the cemetery. That's my recommendation. I see the selectmen only went on 175, what was it?
They haven't voted on theirs. There's some missing from their column.
Oh, $20,000.
They're the same as Richard. Was talking about that.
They have not reviewed this and voted on this yet. We've touched on accounts. We've touched on reserves, but we haven't hit all of them to vote on yet.
Okay. That's my motion.
I'll second
First and second.
Thinking.
Could you state that again, please?
He's taking money out of the cemetery.
it.
Yes, John, can you say that again?
I recommend $1,165,000, $20,000 being removed from the recreation request and 10,000 from the cemetery. So give the cemetery $5,000 every year this year, which will bring it up to $70,000 that they have to spend. So that's a lot of money. That's my recommendation.
Got it first,
I didn't vote.
you in a second.
You had a second.
2.2.
She's taking her reflection back. She didn't hear the cemetery.
Didn't hear the cemetery.
Wait a second. Can I modify yours, John?
Was that?
Can I modify your amendment, your
Yeah.
motion? I make a motion. You're at what, 10 out of something? Tell me what you got.
Minus 20 on rec and minus 10 on cemetery.
Okay, then I'd like to amend that motion for a minus 10 on parks. Make public works 75 rather than 100. Make public work building 10 rather than 20. And make roads 500 rather than 750. And I didn't do the math, so.
You want to say it again?
Maybe touch
The test and papers more.
See,
Started in
April
parks.
state parks, fire equipment was okay, fire building, libraries, okay, so parks is minus 10,
So then it's
public works is 75.
Minus 75?
No, 75, so public work equipment is 75 rather than 100. Public works building is 10 rather than 20.
Yeah.
And
Rose was
roads was,
250, minus 250.
you're at minus 250. 500.
60, 70, 80. 300, minus 325.
It's the town office that's ahead for.
Potentially.
Just
50,
from parks.
60, 70, 80.
Yeah, Tara's got it.
Minus 325.
Oops.
Could I just ask about the expenditure for the roads and one more time what you said about the upcoming year, what is expected?
So
That's a
this,
big.
this upcoming year, we're in the design, finishing the design and permitting phase for paving Bigelow Hill. That's the big project that we're looking at right now. And then we're also exploring the Ferry Road relocation. And then also I expect tomorrow night that a portion that the select board will suggest that a portion of the sidewalk project that's going to take place this next summer also come from the roads budget.
Their road location is pretty historic. That's for another time.
And how much is the sidewalk project, Richard?
The sidewalk project is, what the select board will review tomorrow is approximately $640,000.
That's what the town would have to pay. That's not grant, coming back.
That's the local share only. The total project cost is in the ballpark of $3.5 million.
And we're gonna, Joe, you wanted to reduce the roads by 250,000.
Right, so it'd be 500,000.
So there'd be $870,000 would be the final recommendation from the budget committee with the ones that you mentioned. The 20 from rec, 20 from 10 from cemetery, 10 from.
Did you say cemetery? Yes.
He replaced the rec and cemetery with parks equipment.
Oh,
I think that's what I.
We didn't take
Yeah.
it.
oh, not added to.
Not active, so.
Okay,
So that motion's out there, we don't have a second, so.
okay. Oh, I see, okay. So add
Made a
another
motion, do we
30,
have-
so $900,000. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second, any more discussion?
And again, recap the motion one more time for my figures. I'm sorry, I've got a lot of figures.
Yep, so the capital reserves is, the motion currently is, right from top to bottom, is 15,000, 10,000, 125, 20, 25, 10, 75, 10, 30, 500, 35, 25, and 20. That totals $900,000.
Can you modify the roads? Can you go between there? And you'd have me as a yes,
Are you
Right.
making a motion to amend?
I guess.
Well, but Tara, you need, look at the balance that's in that reserve account, there's already 1.4 million, so even if we overspend it by 50, you still got plenty of slush there.
Towards the end.
Okay, I guess. I'm a yes.
Okay,
I'm a yes.
Richard,
Oh, wait a minute.
no, we haven't voted yet,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Richard,
I understand where you're coming from. Where I'll come from, I don't pay a dime in taxes to the town of Norridgewock. Is we want to make sure that we're creating stability, because if we pull back $250,000 from a roads budget, and you want to go and put more back into it next year, that's not stability for a taxpayer that's on a fixed income. That's going to artificially deflate their tax bill this year, and then it could cause a skyrocket for next year. Unless you intend to reduce the offsetting revenues. Or we're just committing ourselves to reducing these long term. Where we're not going, I mean, $500,000 is great given the balance today, but that's not gonna fund a road project by itself. So in order to accomplish a road project, we're gonna have to save for more than 1 year. In order to get something done, so you get a road project and we're only gonna be doing one every other year. So if we're looking to reduce costs. Taxes, then we can do that, but I just want to caution you about if we reduce it to 500 this year. And we want to go back to 750 next year, you're gonna have to find a mechanism to do that.
well, and I guess to that point, I would like to see in concrete, like this committee's asking for this, what are you spending them, what's the plan? In 5 years, are you gonna do this, that, or the other? I don't, just throwing money in a fund with, yeah, we're thinking we're gonna do this, doesn't work for me.
Right.
I personally,
So the road committee maintains this list. And that's gonna be modified when they get together next using the information and data collected from the contract. That's an ongoing list. They publish their list every year in a time report as to what they hope to get done in the next 2 to 3 years. That's it. Public Works, we've got trucks that are looking to be 8 years old.
right, but we don't, I mean, preparing for this, we don't have that information.
Right, okay.
So that's.
So if that's a concerning cause for doing this, then I apologize. for wasting your time
No, no,
and dragging you here longer.
No,
But I would ask
no, I
you.
didn't say that, but I mean, I'm come from an environment where when you spend money, you could have a lot of reasons why, and you gotta be able to
Right.
tell me why.
Okay. I can take you through line by line, or I can provide you with these documents in the future, talk to you about it. And if you want each department's list of, inventoried assets and where we think we're gonna be in the future, then I'm gonna need another meeting.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need another meeting.
Don't they have money from the fee money from the landfill?
That is used to offset tax commitment down one. That's the next thing, when I said we need to talk about revenues after we talk about this, that's where the host fees come in, and we use that to offset taxation.
Is fire equipment untouchable? I mean, they've gone from 100,000 to 110 to 125. You've got $500,000 in there. They've got a new truck coming tomorrow.
God said it.
Out of respect for the chief, I wouldn't
I know
want to touch
what you said.
that.
Yeah, if somebody has a plan and that's what we want. Is it gonna keep going up?
Yes,
Yes,
10,000, 25,000?
because even if you, because it could cost go up.
Yeah.
And they don't.
No, I mean, I think it's good that they planned the way they did. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't need half a
I mean,
million.
I look at your buildings and I say, if you want to build a new town office conservatively, how much will it cost you? $1 million,
Million
and that's cheap, because it's gonna cost you more than $1 million to do it, because you're gonna get engineers and yeah. And so that's kind of how I look, and none of our building accounts are saving in the way that they should be. Equipment accounts, we know that fire trucks are inflating anywhere between 7% and 12%, depending on who you talk to on an annual basis. There's the plan, and the thing with the fire department is that Mercer also contributes 17% of what we're putting away.
And they're pretty solid.
Oh, for this coming year, but that can change.
That's right, it can always change, yep. And then when we start talking about public works trucks, it's like, we never have enough money for public works trucks. It's just easier to put this, I mean, it's small money, I mean, a new grader, we've got a 1987 grader that's there. Do we replace that? Do we contract that service out? But that's a $400,000 or $500,000 purchase if we want to buy a new grader. Trucks, we bought a small truck replacement last December. That was, I want to say 260,000. When I first got here 10 years ago, we bought 2 trucks for 300,000. Outfitted and delivered. And those were full-size wheelers. So.
And my recall is that the budget committee worked on what Tom had taught us about saving for trucks. And I think it was Tara that went on to Public Works saving for, there was a long discussion about it at the time.
Okay, any more comments, questions?
I'm still modified. If I'm a no on slashing to 500,000 on the roads. I think that's too much, but so I would go with you for everything else, but I would probably go maybe 600 or 650.
Okay, we've got a motion, an approved motion on the floor. We'll vote for this, and if it fails, then we'll come back and amend it. How's that?
Okay. Yep.
Can we still discuss?
Sure.
Is it possible to take the roads out of this and vote on the amounts for the others and then see all the stuff he wants to see on the roads? Show them what their plan is and have them come back and talk.
You could, but I don't think that's the whole picture. I mean, you're looking at, I would argue, smaller pet projects in the grand scheme of all of this. It's all pet projects.
Yeah, it's
It's the roads that's the topic. If you want the road list, I can go run you off the road. I can pull up the website to show you the analysis that's done in the cost factor.
Yeah, I've heard Mike talk about it too.
Okay, so Tara, you're a no,
That's
No.
right.
John's a no,
I
so,
think I'm a no for the same reason for the
Okay.
roads.
Yes.
See what they
No.
want.
Yes.
all right, the motion failed. I'm going home. I didn't get my way.
Can we modify the roads?
So we need another motion.
Modify the roads to 650 and keep the parks at 10, public works 75, public buildings 10, and 650 for roads? That's my motion.
Wouldn't touch the roads.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Richard, you made the changes.
I just updated the roads budget here to total out, including her 650.
Yeah.
1,050,000.
Oh, I see where you are. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
I'm a yes.
All those in favor? Daryl's a yes.
Yes.
John's a yes.
Yes.
Sally's a yes.
I'm with Tara kind of concerned on the roads. I've seen the whole plan laid out. They seem to be doing it the same way. I think the fire company's doing there. I think they thought of. They've been doing it kind of systematically over the years. It's beyond my skill level. I probably shouldn't vote. I mean, I think the roads are well thought out. So I have to vote no. It's 650. We're taking $100,000 away from.
I'm a yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2.
So we don't have final authority anyway, so this is just our
This is just
recommendation.
recommended.
So you're gonna.
It's an advocate.
And then we're at revenues. That should be right behind that.
That's all of it.
But it's supposed to be the best it is. I don't know. Let's do it this way.
So what is explain what revenue is? I know what it means.
It's just what it sounds like.
Okay.
All the money that comes into the town. And how much are we going to use to reduce our expenses? So in some of our budgets, you've seen, in the fire budget, you saw the Mercer contract amount that's proportionate to the request. That's incorporated in this. In the town office, we collect fees for vital records, this and that, agent fees for motor vehicle transactions. Motor vehicle excise tax is one of our largest revenues. That is used on public works, so that is in here. And then what we have that most people don't is the line host community fees. So as we look at the top side of your revenue chart, you can see admin fees.
Revenues.
Revenues, where they are budgeted for the upcoming year, and your fire department, public works, and code enforcement. They're all public works is the excise tax. That's the big one there. Then you're down to your host community fees. That's really the topic of discussion here. Is how much of the revenue that we receive from waste management do you want to guarantee that we will receive to reduce taxes?
We're deciding that now.
Your recommendation.
Right, but yes for the roads. 600 and something. No, I'm wondering how do you get to 5?
It's 5-2. I had you and Miriam opposed. Everybody else in favor.
Sally?
She was in favor.
So, I guess I'm good with it. Host community fees, obviously, but they typically fees.
Correct.
If we don't take that to go against taxes, where's it go?
That goes into a host emergency fund. And that is excess revenue that's unused. That can be used again in a future date to offset.
Okay,
Or be used for projects.
how much money is that?
2 million.
And I see you only recommended 1,100,000. What made you do that?
So I'm a conservative budgeter. I try to be. You don't want to cut yourself short. So that means we typically go a little bit over on our expenses, and I'm going under on what I think we're gonna get for revenues. Nothing's a given, but we also don't want to spend every last dime that comes in from there. Because there might be a day that comes where what's coming in is below what we've had in the past. And we need to be able to wean off from that.
Yeah.
So, right now, it's not gonna happen for 15 years, things remain unchanged, but businesses can make decisions even if they're permitted. And it's one of our only fiscal notes that we get in our audit is how dependent we are upon one single revenue source. And so that's why I undershoot. I did increase what I had recommended from last year. And,
No, you didn't. Oh, yeah, you
I did,
did.
not a lot, but it was enough to maintain a budget that went to taxpayers that was cost neutral a little bit down here.
So anything that comes in over the budget goes into the slush.
Right, so that's what we're investing. We've got investments and we've got CDs separate from
How
that.
much do we have in investments? I mean, just give me a ballpark.
2.7. And then we've got another,
Took a hit.
pardon?
We took a hit.
Well, we invested 2.5. And so we've been down a lot more. We invested at the wrong time. Nobody's arguing that. And then now we're on the uptick and it might be to 2.8.
I
So,
thought I remembered 3 million at one point.
so if we choose to keep it in our local revenue. Or the budget was requested, the actual that we got last year, then that would reduce the taxable income. That will reduce people's tax, is that correct?
You say that for me once more.
No, I'm saying, which way would reduce people's taxes?
Increasing that number.
Okay. The 1,100,000,
Yes,
or the 2,064.
right. That's the net effect to that.
The more money we have in revenue, the less taxes people will pay,
Right.
because. Right.
So right now, you've reduced local property tax by about 30% over last year. Under your current recommendations and approvals today. $250,000 less.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's substantial.
Richard?
Yeah.
With that being said, what John was saying is if this money from the host fees comes into the town and we use it to offset and there's an overage at the end of the year, that goes back into the town's slush fund, not the host savings account, which could be used for different purposes. Like if we ended up with $250,000 of overages in this budget, that money could then be used to, let's say, fund a fire truck. And if it doesn't come out of the host fee account and sits over there, that money can't be designated for a new fire truck, or can it be?
You could do whatever you want necessarily as long as the voters support it. If the budget is put through and it doesn't appropriate, voters authorize the town to spend it, we cannot spend it. So if you said, okay, well, we want to take $500,000 from the $2 million that's there in excess and use it on a fire truck, you could do that, but we would need a special town meeting because this budget proposal doesn't accommodate that.
I'm an old person. And you can only save so much money. And I think I'm not arguing with your conservative thing here, but you can only put so much money in the bank because we're not all gonna live forever. And there are things that we can do with that money, like to help taxpayers with a little taxpayer relief, as opposed to putting it away for a rainy day. That's my opinion. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I agree with
I
you.
agree with you.
Yeah. But we're all in a point, you're a young man, but we're all in a place in our lives where we realize we have what we need. So we should use what we have to offset and make.
So you can afford to live here.
Exactly, exactly.
I get what you're completely saying, but I also caution you against going too far that way.
I don't-
Because what you take away, people will want back.
Yeah, oh, I agree with you, but 2.7 or whatever you said,
Right.
it's a lot of, that's a lot of
More
dinero.
like 4 million, but 4.5.
What if you have a problem like Fairfield has with the PFAS?
That's when you rely on the government. Fix their screw up.
We are the government.
Takes a while.
I think you look at things like the airport, where spending at the airport is not popular, but we are required under a 1950s agreement with the federal government to maintain that airport, whether you agree with it or not. We are financially bound and obligated to maintain that airport. $2 million isn't a lot of money when we talk about an airport.
I think it's an asset, realty wise.
Right, but if something happens, then we need, look, the airport can't sustain itself. We are still obligated to maintain the facility. Agree with it, don't agree with it, asset liability, neutral.
I appreciate that. I understand what you're saying.
Well, I don't think you're cutting into the savings that much. To the tip fee money.
Right.
I really don't. And what it will save on people on paying taxes is a big offset.
So the other, I'm indifferent, I don't pay taxes here, but
That's right.
full picture. This year, we've got a school bill that's gonna come. Next year, the school towns around us have just voted to redistribute how local shares managed. Your school bill's going up next year. And it's gonna go up again the next year. It's gonna go up again the next year because they're reconfiguring how it's funded.
Really?
And those are gonna be years when we're gonna wish that we had money in reserve to be able to soften the increase so that senior citizen on fixed with no savings can carry forward. I'm not here to be a sap because everybody has an ability to work, but there are years when we need to soften taxes. So I just caution you from softening too much and then having to overdo it again next year. Because what we don't know, that's the unfortunate timing of it, isn't it? We don't know where the school's gonna come in. We've got an idea they're gonna be up 8%, right? Why wouldn't they? And nobody tells them no, and then the county, well, whatever they need, they get. And our value is increasing disproportionate to other towns in the county, in the school district. So we're on the receiving end of all of that. But so before you empty the bank accounts, I just give you that information. You can empty it, but I would empty it out over a little bit longer period of time.
Yeah. I know, it's a.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount that's the right amount, but in reality, with waste management's investments this year with the sludge dryer and the PFAS and the new cell, they're gonna be around, I'll be long dead and gone, they'll still be running. I mean, they just, but
And they just acquired more real estate. They're putting that into a landfill.
it's a cash cow for the,
Yeah.
and they're a great corporate citizen. I don't have to say that just because Jeff's my brother-in-law, but
But nothing is renegotiated until 2038. Is that the next?
Nothing's required to be renegotiated until a new phase is proposed, and then as part of that phase approval, this is.
It's 2038.
If deposits into the landfill slow or speed up, then that timeline changes. No guarantee or anything.
So where we're at, we'll get a motion and now we'll get a vote. Was that what we were gonna do?
There's no motion on it.
There was a motion. I thought,
Go ahead.
no, I thought you already made.
Yeah, I'm gonna appreciate your candor and I will go with the 2064947.
John's made a motion to go with what's recommended by the town manager. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, Tara?
Yes.
just gotta work early tomorrow.
John, yes.
Sally?
Yes, just, yes.
She heard the 30% lower tax.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
No,
You wanted one?
Could I just ask a question? I know I was late to the meeting. I'm sorry. But could everybody introduce themselves? Because I don't know these faces and I would just like to know who everybody is on our committee.
Your video on or is it late at night to ask them?
you're probably never gonna see us again, now.
My name is John Malick and I live on Bridge Street.
Becky Petty. So May.
Joe Clark, Sophie May.
Mary Ann Anderson, Frederick Watermark.
Ursula. Oh.
And I'm.
So it's hard for anybody to even think about this tonight. But tomorrow night is a really big deal because they go in with our members. And I think it's always good to have somebody there to represent what we said and what we discussed or whatever otherwise.
Oh, for the selectmen.
Yeah, if you don't do the follow-up.
I always wonder how much credence the budget committee has anyway.
This majority composition of the current select board likes to know what you're thinking, but wants to set it aside so that they're making their own independent assessment.
Yeah.
And there's a value to that.
So it comes down to the voters. The voter sees Richard, selectmen, budget committee.
Right.
And they say, why did the budget committee only recommend that? And someone stands up and says, I don't remember. It was 8:30.
Better go to the meeting.
We all good?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, everybody.